Our October Real Ranked is going live right now to rank some A24 horror movies. Hello, and welcome back to Real Ranked. We got a spooky episode for you guys today. We're going to talk about some A24 horror movies. So hopefully you got some chills from that thumbnail. And I'm just going to bring in our panelists for today with Jacob.
How's it going, everybody? Super excited to get to ranking. Really, of course.
Mm-hmm. We got Alan.
Hi!
Oh God, jump scare. Oh.
And you have Colin.
Hi.
Chilled.
Yeah, it's very cold in here, and the thumbnail was
I have
scary.
to keep my Halloween costume on from the last show. So
Yeah, so
The show that took place 10 minutes ago.
Dedication.
Yeah, so I guess we're doing a tier list today. So if you guys are ready, I can bring it.
Big tier list. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah.
But it's a reasonable
What-
tier list. Unlike the bracket, the original A24 bracket, I think we can get
Yeah.
through this in a
Yeah.
reasonable amount of
I
time.
think so.
And this
But-
one we get to focus on the movies that matter.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely there's a lot
Yeah,
of
most.
maybe.
Yeah.
The order for some reason got fucked, but we're gonna go in order of release.
Okay.
So I guess we will start with Under the Skin, the first A24 horror movie. And who wants to start this off? Who's passionate about this one?
I'll start this one off. I really enjoyed this movie when I first watched it. I think it was Kenny was the one that gave it to me for like a little like movie swap that we were doing. So I hadn't watched this until I think last year it was. And man, it gave me chills all the way through, everywhere from the music to just like the dark visuals. I think it takes place in like Scotland or like somewhere in the
that right.
United Kingdom, yeah. So in just the environment is just really just dark and gloomy, and it really just builds some great atmosphere for the movie, just really going through, and just great score all throughout. So it really just combined to create a really chilling experience that it felt like a little bit of like a slow burn to me. Um, it was definitely taking, a little bit to get going, but there's just some certain like visuals throughout the movie that just really just like stick with you and kind of like just makes you remember. And it really is just, I think, a good like a long lasting movie that people, like to talk about. Even though it was like it came out a good while ago, first up on the list. So yeah.
Cameron.
Okay. I started watching this like a year ago. Watched 30 minutes of it, and then I went up to do something. I never finished it. But those first 30 minutes were disturbing, and it seemed a little repetitive to me. But I don't know if it broke out of that later. So can we just?
I haven't seen it, so Matthew, you can talk about it.
Yeah, no, I think everything Jacob said is right. It's like it's very atmospheric and slow.
Yeah.
I think Scarlett Johansson's giving an incredible performance of just like this very alien character, and there's just like this very strong sense of dread that throughout, and I enjoyed this one quite a bit. So
Yeah, I think yeah, even though like, Scarlett Johansson, she doesn't like talk like
Mhm.
really that much throughout the movie. Just really just like her just like, like her dead serious face, or like how she can like switch her personalities when she's around like different people. It just really just gives me the creepy crawlies. And then yeah, I just really think it's a good performance. So yeah.
where would you put it on the tier list?
I think personally I think this is like one of the like the stronger A24 movies in my mind, but I think around like the A to B mark for me.
I think
I think I'm
right
gonna
now
go.
I
Yeah.
have it at B. I would
Okay.
So,
Yeah, like I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm good
okay.
with that. I think it's one of the really strong ones of the list.
Right. So let me put this in the B tier. Albert in the comments. Never seen it.
Thank you, Albert.
Wow. At least I've seen 30 minutes. Jeez.
Hey, I
That's
could.
fired.
Okay, if that was all we needed, I could have done that.
Just watch 5 minutes of each movie.
5 minutes of each movie.
So
Yeah.
that wasn't a part of the rules, but
Okay.
I'm a rule breaker.
No, I'm sorry. I would have made time for it if I'd known. I didn't put it down on my list on what I was missing. I made time for this one. I do want to see this one eventually.
That's all good. I guess we'll move on to the next movie, which is Life After Beth.
I can start since I've seen this recently. Obviously, so have you, because we
watched it together.
We watched it together, but yeah, this movie. I mean, it's more a comedy. It's barely horror, I would say, but it has horror elements. Aubrey Plaza, excuse me, his character is turning into a zombie. I feel like it kind of has an identity crisis because there's this really dark moment in the film that completely threw me off. And I'm like, oh, this film is going, and then it's still a comedy, which is fine. But I think it wants to be more than it actually is, or ever ends up being. And it's not even that great of a comedy to begin with. It's like kind of funny. Dane DeHaan, he's okay. He's like my most mid actor of all time, I'd say. So I think it's a very middle of the road movie for me. It's not great at anything it sets out to do.
Not a fan of Oppenheimer star Dane DeHaan.
No.
Or Amazing Spider-Man 2, Dane DeHaan
Or
as
a
well.
Cure for Wellness.
That's true. That feels like an A24 horror movie that just was not.
But it's not. That's true.
Gives
But
off very those vibes.
I watched this one with Colin, and I think it has very like deadpan humor, and so it doesn't always land. It's really trying to like balance that. It has a hard time balancing that tonal shift of like horror and comedy, but I think Aubrey Plaza is a lot of fun. She's just like really it's very easy to watch her on screen, and I just think like the movie has a lot of promise where like dead girlfriend comes back to life and like has a second chance at love, but doesn't quite stick the landing. There's some pretty good fun moments though, like I think towards the end when she has the oven attached to herself, and there's some good moments, but doesn't quite stick the landing.
Yeah. I've only seen this movie once, and it was around. I think it was either 2014 or 2015. I remember watching this like when it like was like first coming out. I watched this with my mom randomly when I was like 12 or 13. But yeah, I remember as a kid just not being like really amused by it at all. The humor, it's a little lackluster for me, and like the horror elements really just didn't really work for me either. I think Aubrey Plaza, that was like one of her like starting roles. That was like one of her first roles as she was getting started. I think she did like pretty well in the movie. Just really, just sort of just like Aubrey Plaza, what she does best. But I don't know. There really isn't like too much life to the movie, which I guess because it's a zombie. I guess you want to toss it up like that. But I mean, just it doesn't really make for like a fun like rewatch, or it's not something I really ever want to like watch again, just because. I think just based off of like what Colin was saying and what Matthew was saying, it wasn't really something that like really just stood out to me. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's terrible, but it's not like amazing. So I'd go with C here.
I was thinking like D maybe.
Yeah,
but,
I would say depending on where things end up, low C, high D for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that sounds like we're leaning more D then. So I'll put it there for now, and then we'll see. We can make adjustments at the end of the list.
These are movies we disrespect. D for disrespect.
All right. Well, everyone's favorite movie is the next one that we're talking about.
We're peaking early. It's such a shame.
Yeah, everyone's got to leave after we talk about this one.
Oh, no.
Plus,
No, don't leave. Don't leave.
PTSD. Colin, do you want to start with it since you
I,
just
j-
watched
I
it?
was just
You
I
just
don't know
watched
why
it.
I started with Life After Beth because I've seen Tusk even more recently. Sure, if that's okay with y'all. Um, yeah, this film might be one of the worst movies I've seen in years. I was checking every I think 10 or so minutes to see how much time was left. They stretch what probably could have been like an hour 10 hour maybe 20-minute movie and actually like 20 minutes. I just like I do not care about Haley Joel Osment and the girlfriend's I'm sorry I'm forgetting the actress's name or even her character's name. And then Johnny Depp comes in and does
What?
this completely bizarre performance as a detective, but it's it's just so boring for what the concept is. I was just bored to tears, and it's like kind of funny for like a couple seconds to see Justin Long in this disgusting walrus suit.
Ugh,
Um,
ugh,
and like
just
I,
thinking
I,
about it.
I wish I should remember the actor's name, but like there's the one scene where he first ends up Justin Long's character first ends up in the house and he's talking to the guy who eventually turns him into a walrus. That was kind of interesting. So I don't think the movie's completely devoid of anything good, but even that, it's still almost beyond redemption. I think that's the only good scene in the movie. The attempts at humor are all awful. I don't think I found anything that funny. The not see party, that's stupid, and it just gets repeated throughout the entire movie over and over again. Ah, God, it. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I had other choices. Obviously, I should have watched Under the Skin instead. But yeah, this is a terrible, terrible movie. Kevin Smith, what happened, man?
Yeah. I'll. Cameron, have you seen this movie?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess I'll go next talking about it. I don't know. I think Kevin Smith was going for something here that he thought that everybody would enjoy, or like a really like strong audience would have a enjoyment with. But there was literally nothing enjoyable about this film. Um, like Colin was saying, the beginning when he's like talking with the walrus guy, at the house, that like was like the only moment in the film I was like, oh okay, I'm getting a little interested. And then after that, literally all the motivations were just weird. The Johnny Depp whole plot line I hated. I don't understand what anybody was going for in this movie really. Like Colin was saying with the Haley Joel Osment and the I don't remember
I
what the
don't know.
actress's
I'm
name was,
sorry.
but it's just I did not care about that. Literally, I think there's no horror in this movie besides when he is the walrus and you're just hearing him like be a walrus, and I like it wasn't even like horror because it was scary. It was just horror because it was like disgusting. And like I'm like, please get this off my screen. It's making me uncomfortable. But like I don't think it's like a good uncomfortable for a horror movie. So it literally just made me want to turn off the movie. And I just was I it's I don't watch this movie. Just don't. Just
Is
please
that
don't.
movie just a prank? Like the prank is it gets you to watch it even though it's just
It might be,
I
honestly.
complete garbage.
maybe
I
it's one of the worst pranks of all time. I'm sorry to everybody who gets pranked by it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, no, it's trying to balance horror and comedy, and it's doing both of them poorly. And then for me, I think like the only reason it's horror is because of body horror, like because of the walrus. Like that's really where it comes from, and it's not even like strong enough to keep this movie to be entertaining. Um, I find Johnny Depp like he's so dumb, but I find at least that like, oh, there's some fun there at least, because like the whole movie is just so dour and just like boring. Like Johnny Depp's giving a performance that is like kind of fun. And
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
Yeah, I can see some people enjoying it. It was not for me.
I don't know.
So it wasn't meant
I
to
was
be
like, man,
derogatory.
I'm kind of yeah, I was like kind of waiting for the Johnny Depp part to end. It just like wasn't adding anything for me for the movie. But I guess I can see what you're talking about. It makes it just a little bit interesting by just adding
Yeah.
like a
I was
very
saying it's
yeah.
different from what's currently going on screen,
Yeah.
which is basically nothing.
Yeah, it
Yeah, yeah.
gets you a break from what's happening with the walrus, and it's just maybe it's like a moment of peace. So maybe that's the shining part of the Johnny Depp part is it just gets you away from the Tusk part. So yeah,
But yeah, basically. So I think we can all agree where this one
this is
lands.
S
F
tier, right?
F
This is
F
S.
F
Oh,
or
oh,
S.
okay.
Sorry,
S,
yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
S.
sorry.
Okay.
We'll leave it at S just for
Well,
everybody who
Yes.
comes in during the video. They can just be confused. And then at the end, we'll
That
just
sounds good.
rate
And
it.
at the end, we can put it at the bottom. So
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
that's
Everybody
good.
right now, oh, Tusk is so good. S tier.
Oh wow!
Tusk
I
sweep.
really wish I watched it. You guys are just praising it nonstop.
Yeah.
Should just have its own category above S just for Tusk. But yeah.
But yeah, that's our conversation about Tusk. So we'll move on now to the next movie, which is The Vitch.
Whoa.
I started first twice, so
Cameron, do you want to
don't even
start?
go
I
to
don't
me.
think
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I think you're.
I've missed a couple. So The Witch. I really like this movie, and begin to think the more it's been quite a while since I've seen it, but after I reflect on Robert Eggers' filmography, I think this sometimes is my favorite one when I think about it. It switches all the time, but I really like The Witch. It's very atmospheric and doesn't really let you in on what's going on for a while. And also with the old English vernacular, it just adds to the atmosphere and the period a lot. And it feels so isolated and cold, and I don't know. I just think it's a great package, and it's an early Anya Taylor Joy role too, and she's fantastic in it as well. But yeah, I really like this movie.
I'll go next because I haven't seen this in a little while. But yeah, I'm trying to think. When was the last time I watched this movie? Because it's been since 2019. But I think it's still a really great movie. Like Robert Eggers just has a way of like filling a movie with atmosphere that is really chilling. Anya Taylor-Joy is like she's incredible in this very early role. For me, like this time period is not necessarily something I'm super interested in, but I think it just works super well. And it's like spooky and really chilling that I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with what you guys were saying. Just like just the atmosphere is so perfect for this movie. I just think like you were saying you aren't really like interested in that like time period that much, but I think just like the time period of just like like the Salem witch trials and like just that like really just early like New England
Mm-hmm.
like era is just so interesting when it comes to like horror because I just think it's so just desolate and really just like barren. So there's really just a lot of opportunities for just some like really like folkish like horror to really just get introduced. I just love the way Robert Eggers, especially with this movie, and then also we'll talk about it later with The Lighthouse, but like the language he uses in the film and just like the dialogue is so like he doesn't try to make anything really modern. He like really just tries to strictly stick to that like that old way of speaking, and it's just I had to turn on subtitles for the movie just because I was having a hard time with that, but I just think it just creates just a little bit of a creepy factor to it, and yeah, just Anya Taylor-Joy really good in it. There's like a few scenes that just I remember just thinking about giving me chills, like with like the baby in the crib and she's playing like peekaboo with it. That scene is so good. And like the scenes with like Black Phillip, shout out to Black Phillip, literally one of the best
He's the goat.
movie animals of all time. He is the goat. He is the goat. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that movie just gives me chills. Oh, just thinking about it. I love it so much. Just the atmosphere is great and it's just so good.
I think I'll like it even more when I give it another watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, need to rewatch it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little slow getting started, but once it gets going, it's like, ooh, it's just so good.
I do owe this movie a rewatch. I don't love it. I think as a lot of people do, as much as a lot of people do. I agree. I feel like the atmosphere is necessary, or the time period and setting are necessary to tell the story that this movie is telling. But it's just something that I'm very not interested in, to the point where the movie is kind of boring to me. And it's still got all that stuff you guys are saying. The atmosphere is great. It's got some decent scares. I like the ending of this movie especially. But yeah, I think this movie is very important to me because it gave Robert Eggers a career, especially working with A24, and that gave us some good movies that we're going to talk about later. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you guys are leaning A, maybe high B. I personally low B, maybe high C, but it's still a good movie. It's still a good movie.
Yeah. This is like really high up for me. Like definitely
Yeah.
in my top 5, I would say for
S.
me.
Oh, you're saying S.
Well, I think there's like 2 or like 3 maybe movies that deserve to be an
Okay.
S. But I do want to just add like one more point about this movie is um just like the talk about, or just like the storyline and like discussion around like religion and how it really impacts the story, I think too. I'm just coming as like somebody from like as like coming from like a religious family in my childhood, and like just growing up, just seeing how that was sort of impacting their family, and how they were putting their faith in God, and then like
Hmm.
the evil malicious parts start to come in, and it's sort of just impacting the way they're like thinking about religion. I think is just a really good part of that movie as well. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I
Good
think this
stuff.
is definitely like either like top of A or maybe bottom of S. That for me personally, but yeah.
I would
I
say A.
go with A. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna argue against it.
So 2 A's,
Okay.
high A,
Yeah,
S,
just
and
put it in
then
an A. See, low
yeah.
or high C is harsh. Low B is where I would put it, but A is fine for
Okay.
me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, then we'll move on to the next movie, which is Green Room. And I mean, I'll start just because I have a hot take. I don't actually like this one very much. I find that I just don't. I find it a little bit boring. I at least for me, I don't find that we get enough time to really care about this band, and then like as soon as everything starts, like and like as soon as like murders really start, I just wasn't very invested, and like I think all the performances are really strong. Like you have Patrick Stewart, neo-Nazi. I think Anton Yelchin, Imogen Poots are both great. But I personally, maybe I need to rewatch this because it has been some time, but I just didn't find a lot of it to be that interesting, especially with how much hype it gets.
Uh yeah, I honestly kind of agree with the hot take. I
Yeah.
really don't have that much love for this movie either. The premise of it is like really interesting, right?
Mhm.
But just like you were saying, Matthew, just like getting the time to like know the band a little bit more, I think would have been good. But I think they just wanted to create, sort of just like a really tight constructed film in a
Yeah.
really just strict setting. I think they were sort of going for like that atmosphere, so maybe that's why they chose not to go with that. Yeah, like you were saying, the performances are really good. Imogen Poots, I'm a big Imogen Poots enjoyer, like from Art of Self Defense.
Yes,
But
exactly.
yeah, she was really good in this movie, and Patrick Stewart was really good. I wish honestly there was more Patrick Stewart. I really loved him in the role, and I wish he was sort of like even a bigger part of the movie. But yeah, there was some good, like kills in
It's some
it,
good gore.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but nothing that really was like making me want to rewatch it, or really just care that much about the band. So I'm like, however this turns out, I'd be okay with. But it wasn't
Mhm.
really making me be like, oh, I want this band to survive. It was just like, I mean, of course you don't want the neo Nazis
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to succeed, but I just mean it was just like, it's just I
They didn't
really
give us
didn't
enough time
have
to
a
be fair,
connection with them.
to
Yeah.
connect with the characters.
All
Um.
right.
Oh, have you seen this one, Cameron?
No, no.
Okay. Sorry. Um. I like this movie, but I can see where it's coming from. So I'm like not gonna necessarily go to bat to it because I think there's way better stuff on here. I think the gore is great. I think it does a good job of building kind of a claustrophobic atmosphere, especially when they're stuck in that one room. I don't know. I think their killing off the band members was kind of effective. It surprised me when they did that, and I think Anton Yelchin is giving a good enough performance that we can sympathize with him without necessarily liking his other band members. Patrick Stewart, great skinhead, so he's got that going for him.
Never thought I would hear that in my life, but there we go.
I don't know. I think it builds a good atmosphere. Grimy. It's a very different atmosphere, obviously, from other horror movies on here. And I think this level of violence it's not something we see a lot in the other A24 movies. Like there's a few that it has competition with, but it feels like a very raw movie. But at the same time, I don't love it. So if you guys want to put it like C, I'd be cool with that. I personally, I'd be like B. High B.
I'm thinking, yeah, like C.
Like I personally would go more D, but I'm okay compromising and putting it in C.
Okay, let's put it at C. Let's put it C because it's a good movie.
Yeah,
but it's I think we're in an interesting panel here where we have people who don't like it that much.
Wow.
Yeah, I know a lot of people enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. So
I just think the punk atmosphere. It works.
Yeah.
It works, but it's not amazing either. So I'm cool with C.
All right, then let's move on to the next movie, which is The Monster. I believe only Jacob and I have seen this.
I haven't seen it.
I watched it today.
Okay. This one, all right. Jacob, since you just watched it today, let's go to you first.
Okay. There was some things to enjoy about the movie. Overall, it was so bleak and depressing. The movies I chose to watch today were they were like trying to finish out this list. I still have a few more to go with, but I watched like 3 today, and they were all like around this same like so bleak. I was so like just like, oh man, this is just rough to get through. Just because the drama with the family and the mom with the daughter, it was just it was so heartbreaking and so it was just so, I don't know, it kind of drained my emotions because it was just like I felt for the daughter and then things would happen to the mom and I felt for the mom, but I think the problems that I had with the movie is you don't think it's like a very constricted environment, but really the movie sort of just takes place on this one like little road just between like these two cars, and then they have like flashbacks to different things that's happened through with the family. So it kind of creates like a little tight atmosphere, but I think the problem was it was just kind of like there was like tension, but I really wasn't feeling like scared at any point. The monster really didn't occur that like it didn't really appear that often, and then the times it did, you were kind of like expecting it to happen. I do think the monster design was pretty good. I think the practical effects with that were really cool to see, and I'm glad practical effects were getting some love because I feel like they could have easily made that like a CGI trash looking monster, and just the way they were able to sort of create it, the design was like a little lackluster to me, but I think the execution with the practical effects were cool. But overall, very bleak movie that I was ready for it to be over with.
I understand it. Yeah, I know. Like it is a very bleak movie. Like for me, what really worked was that mother-daughter relationship. I think like Zoe Kazan and Ella Valentine, that they do a really great job together. And they really made me care about their relationship. The flashbacks are also just like very harrowing. I think like it really adds to the impact of their dynamic. And then like what you were saying, I think the creature design is I really like that it's practical. I know it's not like an amazing design, but it works. And then I also feel like the movie is mostly metaphorical about like the trauma and like her addiction, and so I just feel like that really worked for me, and I still enjoyed it even if it's a hard watch.
Yeah, yeah. I think there was some like touching moments. I won't get into like spoilers, but near
Mhm.
the end where I was like, oh, I kind of had like a little bit of like emotional impact with what was happening in the story. But I think just the way it was connecting like like the past flashbacks to the present, it really just didn't really do too much for me. But
Mhm.
I get a lot of the points that you mean, Matthew, with the mother and daughter relationship. So yeah.
Okay. So, do you guys have anything to say about what you thought about our thoughts?
I'm
It,
not interested
I'm
in watching
intrigued.
it.
It's not something, yeah, I don't think I'll ever
I
rewatch, but yeah.
I like really depressing, bleak movies, so hey, maybe I would like
I'm
it.
50-50 on
Fair. So I would maybe put this in B, but I'm okay going to C, like based on
Oh
how
wow,
we
okay.
feel.
I was thinking like D, but okay, I guess yeah, I guess that then that averages around to a C, but yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go above or below Green Room?
Definitely below Green Room, I would say. Not like
Well,
definitely, but I do think Green Room is the stronger film, yeah.
yeah. We'll compromise here, and we'll see if there's anything in the future that we might need to.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, that's all right. We'll go to the next one, which is the Black Coat's Daughter. Um,
seeing it.
Huh.
Sorry.
do you?
This is another one I just watched
Yeah.
today.
Mhm. I
Okay.
guess we can still go to you. You just watched it. I guess we'll.
Okay.
Jacob's on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched The Monster and the Black Coat's Daughter. After I was already drained by The Monster, I watched this movie and it also once again sucked the life out of me. Um, I think the three stories that they go with, or like the three sort of interconnecting ideas that they go with, I think they a few like one like I think the oh what's her name?
Kiernan Shipka.
Kiernan Shipka, I think hers was definitely like the most interesting in my opinion.
I agree with that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Emma Roberts one, it was I don't know. It sort of occurs at a weird point in the story, and you're not really sure how it connects with the story until like later on.
Mhm.
So when it was just like happening, I wasn't really understanding the impact or why I was being showed it. But then by the end, when they were wrapping up the story, I was sort of understanding more what they were going with and understanding where the story they really wanted to go. So I think her performance, was kind of she wasn't really going for, like over the top. It was very just very somber from everybody. Everybody was very like again just very like calm and collected, not really anybody going, crazy or zany. It was really just everybody just yeah, just like just being it's a very like I don't know how to say it, just very like I don't know. It was a very middle of the road movie for me.
Yeah.
There was like not too much that was really happening. The story with the pregnant girl, I forget what her name was. I think Rose.
Mhm.
Um, hers was kind of the lesser story that I was really interested with, and they sort of wrapped it up in a very quick way, and it kind of really just made you not really remember much from her character or really care about her character that much. So yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't really like the way they were doing the story with the interconnection. And I really just don't think the the unchronological order that they went with was
Yeah.
working
That's
for
true.
me. So yeah,
Hmm.
it was just
Mhm.
again just like another like bleak film that I just don't think I'll rewatch. But I know it does like people like it's got a pretty like okay rating. Like people thought it was, okay, but I just personally wasn't really that interested or like intrigued with the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well.
agree with Jacob. I think it's for me. I just find it a lot of it to be very boring. Like I do think
Yeah.
that Kieran Shipka's part was definitely the more interesting element. Um, but like with like three different acts or like three different characters that you follow, it's a little. It can not everything works. I feel like the storytelling was pretty messy. It was it's definitely more like metaphorical on like grief and loss, but I just didn't find the story to be interesting, and I felt like the ending was a bit unsatisfying. Where
Yeah.
like when they got there, and it was just like it was so
Yeah.
slow and just unfortunately, I'm not a fan of this one.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like nobody drank any Red Bulls before they started acting. Like it was just everybody was sort of just like moving, like sludging along, and I
Yeah.
was like, man, I'm ready for this to end or like get to like a point that was really intriguing me, and it just never really happened.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way with this. I agree with what both of you guys said. I haven't seen this in quite a while, and I only remember like the vibe about it and like how the ending was disappointing. But it's forgettable because it's like building to something, but it doesn't like by the end it doesn't really actually build to anything. It's kind of a nothing movie to me. Kind of disappointing. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I would probably give it like a C or D.
Yeah, I'm thinking I think I liked this one a little bit more than The Monster though.
Oh, I
Um
was gonna go D here.
but honestly, yeah, because I'm thinking both The Blackcoat's Daughter and The Monster are sort of like C or D tier, so I'm really okay with it going D. I'm okay with it. Because
Okay.
now that I'm thinking of like back on the movie, it moves so slow and it really just left me so uninterested. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Right. The next movie is It Comes at Night.
This is
I guess
once
yeah, I did.
again the movie
Jacob
that I
was
watched today. I did
crazy
not
today.
mean to do all these three in a row.
We'll start with either Cameron, Colin, for the ones that you didn't watch today.
Cameron, you want to take this?
Yeah.
Alright.
I'll be brief because this is another one I only remember certain elements of. I don't have a super clear picture of it in my mind, except it I was intrigued by it. Like the whole the atmosphere throughout and the tension that was built, I think made it intriguing to watch. Unlike some of these others where it just feels like bleh. I think there was something there with the suspense and tension, but I don't think it was necessarily that satisfying. But I think overall I enjoyed it all right. Yeah, that's all.
To me, and I believe I've talked about this on other A24 podcasts. Um, and this film is like borderline destroyed by the marketing. I think it sets itself up to be something very different than what we actually got, and I was a little affected by that. Um, it's it's interesting. I don't know if I like what they do with the dream sequences, with how they play around with uh, the the mat, I don't know, the framing, like the changes size. I don't know what you would call that. Of course, I'm blanking on it right now, but I think the paranoia that sets up at the end, where like the frames are kind of moving around, you don't like, because reality and the dream world are kind of blurring. I think that's interesting. Um, Again, I think I was too affected by the marketing. I thought I wanted something more straightforward in the world that it had built, like that atmosphere. Because that red door looks so cool, and the house that they're in, it's a great setting. But then it's like more of a pandemic movie, and it's like who's sick, who's not sick. That's not what I would have done, but it's interesting, and I think maybe I should give this movie another chance.
um, yeah, no, I mean, I think that I see. I didn't watch the trailers when I saw this movie.
That's good.
I really enjoyed the atmosphere. I feel like Trey Edward Schultz does a really good job of like having this very uneasy feeling throughout the movie, and like there's a lot of I also enjoy the mystery aspect where it's just like there's a lot that the movie doesn't explain to you, and I just found that very intriguing. I was like under suspense the whole time, and so it's a bit slow, but not to its detriment. I feel like it still ends up building up to a really strong ending, and like there's a lot of like left open to the audience that I feel like really, really works.
Yeah, I agree with some points from Colin and some points from Matthew. This was definitely the better out of the three that I watched today. So this one I watched in third. So I was already pretty drained from that one, from the first two. This one drained me in a sort of different way. It is a very bleak film, don't get me wrong. But this one also, I remember seeing the trailers and I was like, "Ooh, this is probably gonna be like a really, creepy monster movie type, type story." And then so I didn't go see it. And then I heard the news that it was like really very mismarketed, as Colin was saying, and I was glad that I didn't watch it at the time, and so I knew what I was going into, that it was not going to be like a monster movie, and like Matthew was saying, it definitely leaves a lot of questions unanswered by the end of it, which I like for movies. I like when they do that, like kind of leave it really up to your imagination of some things that were going on. I really like the dynamics between the two families throughout the movie, especially as things get revealed and sort of like tensions arise when you're not sure who's telling the truth, and really what's just going on with the families, and it really just creates some good tense moments as we get near the end of the film. And like Colin was saying, that red door, I feel like they could have just something like just like the atmosphere that the movie built. I think, I don't know, they could have just executed some more things that would have just added some more wildness to the movie, because it feels very like just very like bare bones, and just really just like desolate. And just, but the atmosphere, it works. It kind of creates like creepy times at night. The dream sequences didn't really work for me. It really just didn't add any like creepy factors to it. I kind of just liked more when they, weren't showing any like dreams, and it was sort of just like kind of just dynamics between the family, like I was saying before. The ending though really sort of, I think, boosted this film up for me. Just the tensions it created and what was really just leading up to that, and then it sort of just it I won't spoil it, but the ending happens and you're just like left like, oh, whoa, that was intense, and it sort of had like a little lasting impact on me. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think the ending is very strong compared to the last movie we talked about.
Yeah.
Well, Steven in the chat saying it comes at night, really surprised him.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, Steven really enjoyed that
That's
movie.
good to hear. Uh,
See, because it sounds like you guys are going to rank this above Green Room, which I do have a problem with. But
I
well,
do
whatever,
have this
whatever.
ranked just slightly above Green Room. Like it's literally like
Uh,
Green Room is 14th for me, and then It Comes at
oh,
Night is 13th. So
hmm.
I put this in B personally. I think this one's
I would say, yeah, I would say maybe B.
Yeah, B's fine. I would say high C.
Yeah, I would say like high C too, but I'm fine with B.
Low, yeah, low B. That's
okay.
fine.
Would B, yeah.
We'll put it there then. Moving on to the next movie is Woodshock, which I believe I'm the only person who's seen this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take it away.
Well, I'm not gonna say a whole lot because this movie is very forgettable. It's like it moves really slow, like a lot of A24 horror movies. But I think it's like it's just very boring. The visuals are gorgeous though, and so like it is visually stunning. I just feel like so many horror movies have portrayed grief and like depression in better ways, and so yeah, it doesn't even really feel like a horror movie. It's like you know, Kirsten Dunst is just dealing with grief and with like these drugs and taking these drugs, but like nothing interesting really happens. So if you want to watch Kirsten Dunst depressed, watch
I
Melancholia.
was gonna say, it sounds like
Yeah.
Melancholia.
Yeah.
This is the Walmart
Yeah.
wood version, force version of Melancholia.
We have Melancholia at home. So yeah, there's not a lot of dialogue too, which is just not great. So I would put this in D tier. It's not doing anything offensive, but it's just very boring.
Just bad.
Yeah, that's what I've really heard from the movie. Just sort of lackluster.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it came out in 2017. I thought it was a little bit earlier than that, but yeah.
Can't wait to catch that one.
Yeah, that was like one of the ones that I was like it was on like the ones I needed to watch, but I was like I feel like
Uh-huh.
this one's not really like
Yeah.
one that people really remember, so I was like maybe I could just skip this one for the
On Letterboxd, it's not even categorized as horror, but on IMDb it is. And so,
interesting.
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. All right, then let's go to the next movie. That one went by quick, which is good. Let's go to The Killing of a Sacred Deer now.
All right.
Oh. Yeah, I'll go first on this one because this is I don't even know if this is a hot take. I know a lot of people don't really appreciate this movie that much. Like I feel like the people I talk to really don't appreciate it, but I enjoy this movie a good amount. This is a good time for me. I'm a you know what, I'll say it. I'm a Yorgos Lanthimos enjoyer. So he always has some, some weird wacky dialogue in his movies, and this movie I think does it so crazy. Just the way that people talk, it kind of creates a weird atmosphere. Because it just makes everything feel sort of elevated and not really realistic, which sort of helps me sort of subvert my expectations or like my thoughts I have about what's happening in the movie. Because as the events unfold, it just gets more and more like tense and sort of just building that suspense for me. And then like the last like third of the movie happens, and it's like leaving you just like feeling like, oh my gosh, can't believe this is happening right now, because the characters just feel so I don't know, the characters feel so just unique and weird, and just seeing them in these situations and like seeing like what is happening and like how you would think it would affect yourself, and then seeing how the characters are being affected by it, just their like reactions to what's going on is so hyper realistic. It just creates for like a unique movie that I think if you don't compare it to like how you would see the situation, it's sort of, I don't know. I found it enjoyable seeing it as like a hyper realistic
Mhm.
like world. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way Yorgos Lanthimos does dialogue put in a thriller setting like this just makes it more unnerving because his dialogue is so strange and it's like not normal sentence structure, and I don't know, just and it can be funny too in his other movies, but put in this kind of setting, I think it makes it really effective because you don't really, I don't know, it puts you in a place where you don't know what's going on even more when you're watching. And
You don't really know what to expect.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's going on. And all of the actors are so good at playing into that, kind of playing into the way Yorgos Lanthimos does things. So yeah, I like this movie a lot. It's not my favorite Yorgos Lanthimos movie, but I still really like it. I don't dislike any of his movies. So.
I love this movie. We were talking about deadpan humor earlier. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Spoilers, I guess, because I have to talk about this scene when he's spinning around with the blindfold and the shotgun. That I know it's dark because
It
he's
is
about he has to
so,
kill
yeah.
somebody, but it's so funny. It's so funny, and I just the way that because there's not like obviously something paranormal is happening in this movie. Barry Keoghan is excellent in this movie,
Mhm.
by the way.
Barry
Um,
Keoghan's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
he's
oh
in-
my gosh. I think this is my favorite role for
I agree.
him.
Yeah.
Besides, no,
Incredible.
I think it's even, yeah. I think it's my favorite role from him. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's true. Like obviously he has some sort of supernatural powers, but like most of the movie is appears normal at first. And like you guys
Yeah.
are saying, like the dialogue is off, like everything's just like slightly twisted away from reality. But you can at the same time you can glance at it and it's like, oh, that's real. It's just that it's like slightly elevated horror. I wouldn't call it elevated horror. It's like it's found some weird middle ground,
Yeah.
and it's really effective. I absolutely adore this movie.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I love it as well. You guys have really, I think you guys have described pretty much everything that I want to say. And then I think even like the spinning part where that you were talking about is just like, it makes you think about like what you would do in that situation, like what.
Yeah, I could see myself doing that if I had to choose.
It's a very difficult situation to be placed in. So I feel like, yeah, it leaves you thinking about a lot as well in those like relationships. And so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like how the movie like opens up and like the situation that happens, and then so then like Barry, like he comes in and he gives like stakes for the movie, right? And then everybody in the movie is like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like that's not gonna happen. And then like you slowly start seeing like things occurring, and you're like, oh my gosh, maybe he's actually causing this. And so you're like not really sure, like like for a good amount of the movie, and then like stuff start happening, and you're like, oh my gosh, no, this is real. This is like adding just a lot of stakes, and it's just so tense for me, and it just works really well.
Mhm, mhm. All right, before we move on to ratings, I want to bring up a few comments that Steven has said. He said he's never seen a Yorgos movie.
Wow.
I don't think
Interesting.
it's a Steven thing
No,
necessarily.
I honestly I don't think you'd
Yeah,
like
I think I
any of
enjoyed
them.
this. I think this is my favorite from him as well. Yeah.
My favorite is the favorite, but this one's second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little
the
different
favorite.
vibes, a little different.
I love the
Uh,
last
Yeah.
two
but
though.
Steven has a fun fact about Yorgos is that he's a former pro basketball player.
Wow, I would have.
Wow.
Wow, okay.
That's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
None in the NBA, but
He
yeah.
chose the right career.
And
Yeah.
also, I guess hopefully I don't think the spoiler was too detailed that you should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's literally it's
I was gonna say I
Yeah.
don't elaborate, so you're
Mhm.
hopefully fine if you do want to watch it, which I don't think you'd like it honestly. But hey, maybe
Yeah, I
check
don't think
check one of
Steven.
his movies out.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with poor things coming out,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited for that film too.
I want to go. I want to say A for this tier or for this
I'm
movie.
Yeah,
going
I
I'm
was
going
thinking
A
A.
for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am also going A. Could maybe move up to S by the end of this, but we'll see like how the rest of the movies shake up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on. The big one is Hereditary.
Oh.
Oh, our first Ari Aster.
Ooh. What
And his
A24 was built on.
The highest grossing for a while, I believe.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think. Yeah.
I remember when this was at the theater.
I literally okay, I have a good story about this one. So, me and my friends were trying to figure out what movie to watch for that weekend. It was the same weekend that Hereditary was out, and it wasn't really a movie that I think would be at my theater in my small town, but it was. And then the movie that was also out at the time was Solo, a Star Wars story. And of course, I was a big Star Wars fan, but I was like, you know what? I'm not really feeling Solo, right? So I'm thinking, maybe we could just get spooked by this Hereditary movie. The trailers seem, it seems okay. Let's see what happens. And then I go in and I literally come out of the theater. I am shocked. My jaw is to the floor. That movie literally changed me. I go in and I literally, it was like scarring, but in like a good way.
Mhm.
Just everything from the movie, just the atmosphere, just like especially on rewatches when you go back and notice like little things that just sort of add to the creepiness factor. Like you see some people in and like some backgrounds that you just didn't see before, or you notice like little small like drawings or like little symbols like that just
The scene in the bedroom, and then like in the corner.
yeah. Oh my. Oh,
What?
like in theaters, I was shaking. I was shaking. It was so many goosebumps. But I think the biggest thing we can talk about this movie, and I personally think it was the robbing of the century, was
Yeah.
Toni Collette not even getting a nomination for her acting job in this movie. I think personally she deserved just the Oscar in general. Um, but she didn't even get nominated again. Oscars, say what you want to say, they hate horror, and I think
Mhm.
this was the biggest example of what made me realize that. And I just think she is literally just perfect in this movie. It's so as she's dealing with grief, it's just so she's like dealing it with her own way. You can see her family's like kind of like dealing it in a separate way, and just like that scene where she goes to the meeting and she just
Mhm.
talks about all of her feelings that she's having at the moment. It's just so so like uh just it just makes her just feel so like personal, and you're just like, man, you feel for her. You can see what she's going through and sort of
Yeah,
the
it's
effects
real.
that her mom had on her life. And it just the whole movie just works for me. Just so many scenes I'm thinking about. They're just so lasting. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's what I have to say. Because I want to let other people, talk about like some scenes that maybe like
Yeah.
impacted them. But this is just like this for you could tell for me this is like definitely like up there in horror movies in general.
Mhm.
Hmm.
No, I've already talked about Hereditary in a previous podcast, and then Colin, but were you were there as well, I think.
Yeah, I also
So
talked about it. I'm
Cameron,
sure.
we'll go to you. Let's go to Cameron next.
Okay. Hereditary is one of my favorite movies, at least one of my favorite horror movies. It's unbelievable that this is Ari Aster's like directorial debut. Like you come out with this as your first movie, that's just insane. Like it seems like a mature, well-seasoned filmmaker that has everything put in place the way they want made this movie. And I think he does. He has a very interesting style and vision for this movie, and he goes in much different directions for his other movies, which we'll talk about. But I think this is a very controlled and meticulous movie in its own way. Well, I think it's kind of more approachable than his other movies, I think, like just as a standard horror
Okay.
movie.
You know what?
uh,
I agree with that. I think I agree with
As a
that.
horror movie, I'd say.
like, yeah, in horror movie standards, I think it's maybe the most approachable. But yeah, it is very detailed, like Jacob said. And I don't know, it goes in so many different directions that you wouldn't expect, and there's so many iconic, memorable moments. Yeah, I think it's just incredible.
I like this movie a lot, but yeah, I've talked about it before. I think I'll have more. Uh, I want to tie this movie and Midsummer into my discussion of Bo. So I think I'll just say I won't accept anything less than an A for this movie because I also saw it in theaters and it was like the first movie that actually ever really scared me as an adult. I guess
Yeah.
it's like I got
Yeah.
scared by movies all the time as a kid, but this one's scary.
No, I would agree. I think
Yeah.
I watched this in 2018 when I had watched maybe like 5 or 10 like horror movies before. So like this is easily like one of the scariest movies that I had seen at the time. Now I love horror even more, but this was one of those early ones that I just like fell in love with. It's a masterpiece. I think one of my favorite bits of like foreshadowing is when Charlie has like the bird and cuts off the head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Or even just the symbol that they show. I guess we're
Yeah,
getting into spoilers. Just the symbol that they show on the light or the post,
the post.
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
like, ooh, that looked a little suspicious. But and then you totally forget about it until the later part in the movie happens. You're just shocked and oh man,
Or
just
like the
love it so
way
much.
Joan phrases things, or like when she's giving her the piece of paper with the Latin words on it. The way she's phrasing things is it's huge foreshadowing after you think
Yeah.
about it. And like the way she chooses her words, she's very selective with her words to get what she needs done and to like manipulate.
And then, it kind of creates like an atmosphere like, oh, I wonder if I can, like, you can trust Joan or like, if she's like reliable.
Yeah.
Because, at first you're like, oh, she's so friendly. And then you start getting like later on in the story and you're like, that's something seems off. And then just things happen. And man, this literally is like one of my favorite movies. So
Yeah.
good.
And I love how like the use of miniatures, like the
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just yeah, like the opening when it's just showing the dollhouse and then it zooms in and then it cuts to like the real frame. Ah, it's really good.
That's when you know it's gonna be, and that's the opening. But that's when you know it's
Yeah.
gonna be a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
so many shots that are just so iconic and that just make me just
Yeah.
go back and think like the ending in the treehouse or just even in the attic. It's just so many just crazy moments that just like stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is, in my opinion, this is an S movie if I've
This is
ever seen
S
one.
for me too.
But
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is S.
Yep. Can't compete with Tusk, of course, but
Not as good as
Yeah.
gets-
Tusk.
Sadly,
it gets
sadly,
close.
Sadly,
It gets
Tusk is
close.
number one, so we have to leave it there.
I mean, the fact that it's even close to the level of Tusk is saying something.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next movie, I'm going to bring up some of Steven's comments. He said that he'd like to watch Yorgos movies, but just hasn't gotten into any yet. And he also said that the better Toni Collette horror movie where she deals with grief is actually The Sixth Sense. He's being contrarian, but no, he still likes Hereditary.
She's
Yeah.
a way nicer mom in The Sixth Sense.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's curious.
Now I'm just thinking back to that the dinner scene. Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get where Steven's coming from with the Sixth Sense. So, you know what? She's
I don't.
I think, but she still deserved at least a nom for this movie. But she's just so good at just that role. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's a great mother.
Yes.
She's great at playing mothers.
Little Miss Sunshine, shout out.
Yeah. Also, she also has a great American accent. Yeah, gotta bring that up.
That is true. It's actually really good. There's some moments where you're like, oh, I can kind of hint at her Australian accent, but no, she actually does a really good job. But yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll stop talking because I think these next couple of movies I just haven't seen, so
Okay.
just be sitting in the background.
Next one is gonna be Climax. Has anyone else seen it?
I have seen it.
Colin has seen it.
You too.
Yeah. Okay. It's something. I found it to be kind of the pinnacle of slow burn, and I still enjoyed it. But despite all the chaos that's happening in the movie, it felt really long, and it's not a long movie. I think it's 90 minutes. So 90 something minutes.
That.
And yeah, I like the premise. I think the dancing. Dancing is a very big part of the movie. I can't just say that with no context. Dancing is a very big part of the movie, and I think the dancing stuff is cool. If they have a long one take.
I think it's is it 40 minutes maybe?
Yeah, it's long. It's a
40-minute one take.
It's quite long.
Man. Wow.
But they're trying a lot of stuff in this movie, and it's cool.
Okay.
But somehow at the same time, it dragged a lot for me. So I'm kind of mixed on it. I do think it deserves a rewatch. It's got a very cool aesthetic. They have a VHS still at the beginning that I was just like, what? That's interesting. I've never really seen anything like it. And there's a lot of things. Yeah, I guess my takeaway is that it experiments with a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if it all lands, but I would still probably recommend it if you like any of these other movies.
Yeah, I at least because it's very experimental. And I think I personally love this movie. I just double checked. The opening scene is a 10-minute one shot, and then the second part of the movie is a 40-minute.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was not many cuts in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for me, it's just experience that I'm never gonna forget. I just remember this movie very well. The camera work and the way the movie's shot and the reds and the way uses color makes it very hypnotic. It really does make you feel like you're also taking LSD, like the characters. And I feel for me, I love a great choreographed number. And so there's some incredible dance sequences, really complex. And I feel Gaspar Noé just fills it with style. And the thing about this is most of the cast were real dancers. So they do a really good job of, obviously they're incredible dancers, but they do a good job of acting as well. I think Sofia Boutella is the only person that isn't a dancer, I guess, or maybe she is, but just
I think that's right, or at least she's primarily known as an actress.
Yeah, exactly. And so that I feel I just love it.
Yeah, I will say I watched this movie with somebody who's not a big film person, and they liked it. So, so yeah, I think maybe I should give it a little more credit than I did in my initial assessment. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head for why somebody might like it. I don't know if I necessarily vibe as much with it, but I'd say low B for me. maybe high C. I
I
don't
go
know.
with
It sounds like you would say A though.
I would go A. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How
So
can we agree on high B then?
I think let's agree on high B.
Okay.
Do you want to put it
I can't say about Under the Skin. You can make that call.
in? Then we'll put it there for the climax. And we'll move on to the next movie, Slice.
I haven't seen that one.
I guess I can start with this one because I think it's just Colin and I who have seen.
Yep.
So, yeah, Slice is exactly what you'd expect. It's dumb, and there was maybe like 3 jokes I laughed at, but it has a little bit of like a cool style to it. Kind of has like it's so bad it's good type of vibe, but most of it just doesn't land. I feel like maybe if we got together, got drunk, it would be funnier. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about this movie. It's really stupid. The ending made me laugh out loud though, so that gets an extra half star.
Yeah, this I would agree. It's kind of it teeters on so bad it's good. I should not have watched this alone, I guess. I think it would have been slightly funnier. It's got a good cast. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Zazie Beetz. I think
Zazie Beetz and Chance the
Yeah.
Rapper. I mean, that's Hannibal Buress, Joe Keery, Chris
Chris
Parnell.
Parnell, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you have the recipe for a funny movie.
Mhm.
A lot of it does kind of fall flat. I like the premise. I mean, it's in a world where they just like kind of accept that ghosts and werewolves and shit are around, and they're just kind of like a standard affair, basically. And people can like die and come back, and it's like no big deal. So I like the cast. I like the premise kind of, and then it just comes together, and it's just kind of a hot mess. So yeah, I would recommend it probably. Maybe it'd be fun getting drunk too. Who knows?
Yeah. Where do you want to rank this one?
Will this be an
I
F
can
movie?
say low D, somewhere in D.
Yeah,
I don't think it's completely
It's not-
unredeemable. I did laugh a couple times,
Yeah,
but
it's not so bad that it goes in F. But if we have nothing
Yeah.
there, I'm okay.
yeah, exactly.
I
If
think
F
we might
ends up
have
being
one thing there.
Well,
If F ends up being empty otherwise, though, I'd be
Yeah.
fine with high
I can
F,
think
too.
of one there that I'd put in F, but not anyone else. But
Really? Are we
we'll
gonna
say
get to
what
that?
is.
Interesting.
Oh, no.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Slice
Okay.
low D, fine. Whatever. Forgettable
Yeah.
movie for the most part.
Nonsensical plot.
Yeah. I kind of like that it's nonsensical. It just doesn't really work. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next movie, which is The Hole in the Ground.
Haven't seen this one either.
I haven't seen it either.
I guess
All
Colin,
right.
we'll go back to you and start.
I have seen it. It's pretty boring. I feel like the movie like wants us to debate whether or not this kid has been replaced, but at the same time it gives us too much information that he's obviously been replaced by some kind of doppelganger. And I feel like we don't spend enough time with the mom and this like the normal son at the beginning to like really get a great sense of their dynamic. Kid actor is actually fine in this one. I don't think he was that big of a problem. I don't want to diss an actress here. I try not to do that. I didn't love the main actress's performance. I feel like I don't know. I wasn't convinced that she thought her son was replaced, and which is not usually a problem I have with these movies. Like at the very least, I feel like all the acting is borderline fine and most of this stuff. Yeah, I didn't love her performance in this movie. And yeah, it's just when the film wants to act like it's got a mystery for you, but then it also gives you too much information, you're just kind of coasting for the film and you're like, well, like I don't really care where this is going. I will say the woods in this movie, I really like how the woods look in this movie. I think the titular hole in the ground surrounded by the woods is a very cool look. But other than that, I'd say skip this one. It's really meh.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. This is honestly, I feel like I dislike it even more than you probably. Like I
Yeah, it
truly
sounds like
feel like one positive thing I can say is that there's some cool shots. There's some cool cinematography, which I feel like, you know, Lee Cronin, who also directed Evil Dead Rise, like yeah, no, like he has the skill to be a good
yes,
director.
he's competent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he brings nothing to the hole in the ground, I guess. It's so boring. And it's like, you know, there's enough scary boy horror movies out there. So, you know, that you can pick from. But like to
Like
be
The
a scary
Boy.
yeah, that one's bad too, but it's better than
Yeah.
that.
There's no good one. I cannot think of a scary boy good one.
I mean, I don't know.
Evil. I like Little Evil. If you guys have ever heard of that movie, the
I have heard
Netflix
of it.
original Little Evil.
Pretty sure Omen is scary boy.
Oh yeah, that's the good one. There we go.
People like that one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I feel like, you know, it's just it doesn't really have a story. You know, I feel like nothing interesting happens in the movie. I don't think any of the performances are very good.
Yeah, I thought the kid was fine, but whatever.
It's passable at most.
Yeah, it's not something that I'm gonna praise the movie for. He's like normally I expect kid actors to be like bad, but he was like fine.
That's fair. Yeah. And you know, it's not scary at all. And there's like the best thing that a horror movie can do is add atmosphere, and doesn't even do that. So
yeah. I mean, you've kind of convinced me. I was gonna say above Slice for this one, but honestly, Slice made me laugh a couple of times. So low D at the very least for this one.
I mean, this one I would go F. Just
This is our first F.
Oh,
if Colin is okay with it, if you're
yeah, it's really boring. I gave it 2 stars when I watched it, but I think that's too generous. I think the only redeeming quality is the cool cinematography. I really do like those woods. They might be my favorite horror movie woods of all time.
Wow.
I really like how they look. I don't know. That's the only reason I want to put it in D, but also this movie's
The Woods
pretty freaking bad. So F is fine. We'll leave it there for right now.
All right, I guess throw that shit in the trash.
All right, well then we'll move on to the next movie, which is High Life.
Haven't seen it. I was doing good there for a bit.
Yeah, still haven't seen this one.
So is it just me?
Just you.
Matthew. Which is shocking. This feels like a bigger one. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah. This is gonna be interesting because I actually like this movie. This is gonna be a movie that a lot of you are gonna be mixed on, because of I don't want to go too much into detail, but what we did talk about before we started recording, there's definitely a lot that's like it's very confusing. It is like it's surreal. It's like from beginning to end, like you kind of don't know what's happening, but I still was hooked for some reason. I think like Robert Pattinson and Julia Binoche, they're both giving amazing performances, and like I don't even really know what to say about this because without going into too much detail, since all 3 of you haven't seen it, it's just
yeah. And this is one that I want to get to eventually. I should have allotted more time for this one and under the scan.
But there's just this very unsettling atmosphere to everything, and like the imagery is stunning. Some weird stuff happens that not everyone is going to vibe with, but I enjoyed it. I feel like there's a lot of symbolism there that I just like don't have a complete grasp on, but I enjoyed it enough. Given that I'm the only person that has seen this, normally I would put it in B.
Mm-hmm. Then put it in B.
Go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
Man.
We're not gonna argue.
We have no power to stop you.
Against it.
Yeah.
I've seen Andre 3000, and it makes me want to watch the movie now. So
Mia Goth is in it though. That was the first time I saw Mia Goth in a movie.
Wow.
First time I saw Mia Goth was in, I think, A Cure for Wellness.
Me too.
Yeah.
That was my first Mia Goth.
I never watched A Cure for Wellness, so yeah, this was on Boiler TV. Was able to watch it there.
Nice.
Probably traumatized a few college students.
So, all right then. Well, let's move on to the next movie, which is Midsommar. Getting into
oh geez.
Oh geez, for Pete's sake,
man.
So, who wants to? Jacob, you haven't talked in a while.
I
You
know,
know?
because I guess because I'm saving for this big moment. This is personally, in my opinion, um, I know film bro take, but here we go. This is literally my favorite um A24 movie and like second favorite horror movie of all time. Okay. Um. Now some people might say, because a certain actress is in the movie, blah blah blah. I think it just makes it a plus. I think literally, I think it has one of the best opening scenes of all time. With just how crazy it gets just at the beginning. So you start out, just the relationship between Danny and Christian. You can tell it's like rocky. Neither of them really want to be in it. It's kind of like a little toxic. And then something, big happens that I won't, spoil. And it just changes like the whole atmosphere of the movie. And oh my gosh, like it just that scene and the score throughout it is just it's so haunting. I'm literally just I this is a movie. Okay, I guess another funny story because along with Hereditary, somehow for some reason my hometown theater also had this movie showing. And I watched it with my mom. We were the only two people in the theater besides like a couple that were sitting directly in front of us. And there's some moments in this movie that are pretty uncomfortable, I would say, to watch with your parents. So it
Yeah.
made for an interesting watch. But literally, like that first opening scene, we looked at each other and we were like, "Oh my gosh, we can't believe that just happened." And then just the whole time throughout the movie, you're just building this suspense and this like dread. But it's weird though because it's all taking place mainly like during the daytime, so it's something you're not really like seeing a lot of times in horror movies. A lot of stuff happens, nighttime. Ooh, but like a lot of this like horror elements are happening during the daytime, and you're like noticing things that are like a little off, and scenes, like with like a lot of like the drug induced, psychosis of the characters causing dread just like that. Like that scene when they first take the mushrooms, and she starts panicking and she goes into the little like outhouse area, and it just you get the little images of, spoiler, her like sister, and it's just, oh, it's so creepy. And then it all culminates. You're getting these relationships between the characters that are just so it's sort of, I don't know if toxic is the right word, but it's like where you can tell like they're all sort of like they're friends, but they're also like sort of like competing against each other. Like with Danny and Christian, their relationship is pretty rocky. And just some serious stupid moments from Christian. And then I think even with the side characters like Will Poulter and I forget,
William Jackson Harper.
yeah, I think Troy is
Mm.
his character
Oh,
name, or
character name is
Josh.
yeah.
Josh.
Josh
Sorry,
is
Josh.
Harper. Mark
Yeah.
is the Vulture.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think the relationship between Josh and Christian is really, really, really unique. Seeing like how Christian wants to, kind of take Josh's idea for like
The
his
scene, like
The
thesis,
thesis, yeah.
and it just creates that little tension. And then like certain moments happen where you're like, um, characters are like, judging others and like questioning each other's like decisions, and it just creates a lot of like tension just among the group. And throughout this whole entire time, you're getting these Swedish like these Swedish, I don't know what to call them, just Swedish people,
Swedes.
like the Swedish village that they go to. The whole time, you can sense something is up, but at the same time, they're so caring and so loving. And I think it's interesting seeing their relationship with Danny, how it pertains to her grief, and how they're so supportive of her, and how it sort of opens her mind up to sort of their I don't want to say brainwashing, but sort of just how they're sort of like convincing her that like she can have like a home there.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's literally just I love every moment of the film. The Atastupa moment, the big, like the rock cliff scene is
Yeah.
literally so chilling, and yeah,
That will
I
like
could
stay
talk
in your
about the
mind for
yeah, it
Yeah.
literally sticks with my mind forever. And I just think the ending scene is just so beautiful in its own way, and just it just like leaves you just like oh, like I was like literally my mouth was just like I can tell like it was just like my jaw was to the floor the whole entire like third act with what was happening with the remaining characters, and it just I literally could talk about this film for like hours, but I just think just the culmination of the ending just leaves such a like lasting impact for me, and I just think it's like one of like the most perfect films in my opinion, but that's just me. I'll stop talking now.
This was your moment, Jacob.
Yeah, that was my moment. That was, as you can tell, it's a pretty good movie, so yeah. But
um,
yeah.
I don't have much to add because Jacob put it perfectly, but I really enjoyed this movie, and the there's not many horror movies that can pull off, being in the bright sunlight for all of it pretty much, and you be unnerving. It's kind of new territory for the most part. And Florence Pugh is, yeah, she is the star of the movie. She's incredible, but the rest of the cast kind of supports her and lifts her to like the heights that she needs to get. Tony Collette's this movie. I guess like I think her performance is equal to Tony Collette in Hereditary. They both like shatter have a shattering performance in each of the movies, but yeah, really good.
I like this movie. I think it's weaker than Hereditary. It feels I'll talk about this more, like I said, in Bo is Afraid, but I even then I feel like Ari Aster starts getting a little self-indulgent here. And it becomes a way bigger problem in Bo, but we'll talk about that. And yeah, I still think, despite that, I think it's still very effective. He's obviously still got it. I wouldn't call this a sophomore slump by any means. All the reasons you guys said are why I still like it. But yeah, I think Hereditary is still the stronger movie in my eyes. But even that, I can't say that I would put this anything below high B.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jacob has summed up a lot of what I agree with. I do think that the movie also has a surprisingly comedic edge to it.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah.
Yeah, Will Poulter's really funny in it.
Yeah, Will Poulter is the good comedic relief that also
Yeah.
just makes you be like, oh man, I want to punch that guy in the face.
Yeah.
But in,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then walking out of the theater, I'm just like, Florence Pugh is going to be a star, and she is.
I see something in this girl. She's gonna be a star.
yes, that was Ari Aster. Thank you, Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He actually talks like that, but when he's doing interviews, he talks differently.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, why is he a mobster? Where do we want to put this? I know I'm in the minority with high B.
S.
Yeah.
I literally think it is
Top of S.
top of
Right.
S.
Above Tusk.
S
We can't do that.
S plus S plus.
Top of S. S plus.
Okay,
I'll give you
yeah.
S though. You guys love it so much, and I
I don't
really
know,
love
Kieran.
it.
I said, did you say A?
I would say A.
I think we
But-
can. Well, if you're saying A and I'm saying high B, we can probably argue for below Hereditary.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I think Hereditary is better.
I would personally put it at A if we ranked
Okay.
it. So
Yeah,
it has to
all
go
right.
below Hereditary.
That's
I
fine
know
with
you
me.
want to
That's
kill
fine
us.
with me.
I guess I'll allow it. I think Hereditary is like really, it's also a really solid film. So I
Can't.
mean, like,
yeah.
Hereditary, if it would be the one to be above Midsummer, like that one deserves to be it.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
in my opinion,
Tusk
so
is on a
I'm-
level of its own though. So
yeah,
But
yeah, that's
yeah,
true. That's
I mean,
true.
yeah, not even
But-
in the same ballpark as Tusk, but
Yeah. Do we have an S plus 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 for Tusk? Can we just
No,
add
that's
in?
for Midsummer. That's for Midsummer.
Okay.
So.
Well.
All
We
right.
got
Well,
another good one coming up. So
Steven, I
Yo,
mean, we
I'm
have
looking
Steven
at the
comment
yeah, I'm looking
first.
at like the
Yeah.
rest that we have, and for like the most part, besides like one or two movies,
yeah, we're looking.
it's
These are
like
pretty
really
good.
solid.
I'm
It's
really
really solid.
excited to talk about some of these that I really like, but also even more, I'm excited about one that I want to talk about that I hate so much.
Oh yeah, I think I know what it is.
I know what it is, but
Let's hear from
I want to
Steven.
bring up Steven's comment before we move on, just because it's about Midsommar.
That's fair. I knew Steven was gonna say that.
I said we
Say
knew
that.
Steven didn't like this one. Hey,
He doesn't
thanks for
like Mitch
thanks for
movies.
sticking with us.
Yeah.
You know,
Always
even if you
appreciate
Yeah,
seeing
thank
you in
you.
a live
agree.
chat.
He doesn't like artsy pansy movies. So
But I guess let's move on now to the next movie, which is The Lighthouse.
oh
Woo!
Do we want to start with a lighthouse lobster? The
yeah,
house?
I think it's only
All
right.
right. Okay. Yeah. I love this movie. I would put this in S tier personally. I don't think we're gonna get there. Maybe we'll get there. We'll see how you guys feel. So I like The Witch, but I don't love the period. So we jump forward about 200 years. The isolation on a lighthouse rock is much more interesting than the woods because I don't think it's been done a lot less. And I can actually like mostly understand what they're saying this time. I don't need subtitles. And that's not to the witch's detriment. It's more to the lighthouse's
Detriment.
benefit. There we go.
Yes.
Benefit, detriment. Yeah, I do like period pieces, don't get me wrong. And then this one is like this is an interesting time period, the 1800s. Sure, I guess it's not like the best example because they're very isolated away from everything, but I always wanted to be a lighthouse keeper. Ever since I went to Maine, and I just think lighthouses would be like the coolest place to live ever. And sure, this is like a bad example of why you should live in one. So I don't even know why I'm talking about it. But I just think the aesthetics of the set that they're in, I just think they really nail it. It's really crappy out there for Robert Pattinson's character, and he goes through it in this film, and it's funny to see him mercilessly like insulted by Willem Dafoe. They're both excellent in this movie. And yeah, he just kind of goes crazy. I just think it's like the ultimate kind of isolation movie with an interesting setting. Because we've seen plenty of isolation movies, but I just not many out at a lighthouse, I guess. I don't know. I'm doing a bad job explaining why I like this movie. I'm kind of fanboying a bit, but I think this is Robert Eggers' best movie. And yeah, I'll go to bat for S, but I can see why A would be okay.
Since I've already talked about it in the A24 bracket, I'm gonna go let Jacob speak on.
Okay, I agree with Colin. Literally, this is the best Robert Eggers movie. I have this slightly above The Witch. I think, yeah, what Colin was saying about taking the atmosphere of The Witch and then changing you like the time period to like, like the 1890s, I think it was, is it's so and just the way that he did like his research too about like the time period, like looking at like journals of like lighthouse keepers at the time to sort of get like how they were speaking, what they were really thinking about, I think is just really just shows the links that Robert Eggers will go to sort of get like the most accurate time that he wants, but then also at the same time creating a sort of isolated, like kind of like makes you kind of go insane movie that I think just works so well. The atmosphere is perfect. Literally, just I think the black and white choice was so perfect. I couldn't imagine this movie in like any different way.
Yeah.
It's so funny seeing Robert Pattinson with like his little Mario outfit on, in like color. But just the acting performances between Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe are so perfect in my opinion. Just how kind of just kooky Willem Dafoe is just at certain moments, like the lobster scene, or just like near the end when there's sort of stuff is getting like more revealed, and but at the same time you're still left with so many questions that it just creates for just like a it's such a unique and just the visuals are great. The acting performances are stellar. Just everything about this movie is so good. The effects are really good. Um, and just that last scene, that last scene just has such an impact. It just is ingrained in my brain. The final like shot of the film. It's so good. Oh my gosh, I'm just thinking about like the conflicts and the interactions that they have with the two main characters have with each other is just so good. Like the little talks they have with each other, just building sort of just some tension, but also like some like tension relief, just like with some jokes that they share. And it's just sort of just this going back and forth about they like each other, they don't, they're working together, and it just creates for such a just an interesting movie that you think you would get bored with it, but I really was just like on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
I haven't seen this movie in a couple years now. It's been like 2020, I think, was the last time I watched it. So I really need to definitely give it a rewatch, I would say. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so good.
I have seen this one 3 times, I believe.
It's a good one.
It's
a good one.
great.
Cameron?
Yeah, I think I've only seen it twice, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but it still feels like I just watched it because so much of it is like ingrained in my mind. It's just so memorable and so creative and unique. I think this is Robert Eggers' biggest creative swing that he's done so far. Um, and just all of the pieces come together so well. Like the cinematography is beautiful. Like it's at least the best modern black and white cinematography that I've seen. But it looks incredible the whole movie, and how how it blurs reality with kind of like this psychotic or like kind of the made up hallucinations that they're seeing, and it makes you disoriented, and it's the way it's all edited together to disorient you even more is really well done, and how it escalates throughout the movie. It all adds to the experience even more. It's what makes it such a unique horror movie and feel different from most, and even different from a lot of isolation movies. Like I think this is definitely the best isolation movie out there, at least for me. But yeah, it's just so well done. And the fact that it sticks to the period so well, like all of his movies have, like The Northman and The Witch are also very like period accurate, or it at least seems that way. Plus all the research he did, but it just adds to it so much. He, you can tell how much effort he put into it to make it so perfect, and the way Robert Pattinson is kind of like the opposite of Willem Dafoe adds a lot of tension too, and how their characters interact. But yeah, it's so good.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I've only seen this movie once, and when it was in 2019 in theaters, and
I wish I had seen it in theaters.
it was
Same.
I watched it back to back. I watched Parasite, Jojo Rabbit, and then The Lighthouse. So
Oh wow,
That's a
that's a
good
day. That's
Those were
it
crazy.
yeah,
is. Man, 2019, in my opinion, is one of the best years for movies in
yeah.
general. So
definitely.
stacked,
But
stacked. Yeah.
yeah, no, I have to pretty much agree with everything you guys have been saying. I it doesn't even feel like I watched it in 2019. It still just feels very fresh. Like there's so much striking imagery that it just like
Mhm.
stays with me. I think awesome. Probably one of the few times like a fart joke make me laugh. So
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
gotta
Like
point that out.
the little inputs of humor just work so well.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
it makes sense because they have nothing else to be entertained by anyway.
Yeah.
So like because you're so immersed in that, it like works even better, I think.
Mhm.
Mhm, mhm. But yeah, I just think it's a incredible, haunting and claustrophobic look at like this isolation and two characters slowly driven into madness. And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, uh, let's just get onto the ratings.
Give me S. Give me S.
S
I'll say yes.
S.
Yes.
All right.
I'm fine with below at all those. That's cool. Whatever.
Sure.
I understand. I'm probably in the minor. I'd probably put that
We'll
one
give
as my
Jacob
number.
his moment there.
I would say I would probably put that as my number one.
This
Honestly,
is
but
honestly,
but-
Colin. This is like definitely in like top 5. Like
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
really high up there for
all
me.
right, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Like right now, looking at my list, this is like that was like my number 3 like movie. So yeah.
This, I rate this movie really highly. I think I give it a 5 out of 5. So
Yeah, me too.
Same. Well, Steven had to leave, go to
Hopefully,
bed.
Oh no, Steven's gonna miss the.
he's gonna miss the men hate.
Yeah. Well,
It is coming.
It is.
but not
in
yet,
fact.
because the next movie we're going to be talking about is In Fabric.
ooh,
Haven't seen it.
I thought we were gonna talk about a different 2019 one, but I forgot that we had In Fabric, so I haven't seen it.
So, Cameron, do you want to start off?
you want to start positive or negative? I think that's the question
What do you
here.
guys want to? What do you guys think?
Let's start
Let's
negative
do
so we can end on a
negative.
positive
Yeah.
note. Yeah.
Always want to end on a positive with these.
Okay. Well, I'm so excited to talk about how much I fucking hate this movie. This movie sucks. Like it thinks it's a completely hollow movie. Like it's not actually doing anything, but it thinks it's so smart and artsy and trying a lot of interesting things. But I think it fails on every level. And the premise is kind of fun. Like when you hear about it, you're like, okay, a haunted clothing. And when people put it on, it haunts them and could kill them or curse them. But it doesn't do anything with that. And it's completely unsatisfying. So I don't know. I could go on, but I don't like to be negative. But I do love hating this movie. So there we go.
Well, all right, I'll go now. In Fabric, it's a fun time, honestly. It's very influenced by Giallo. So if you like Suspiria, it kind of has those vibes where it's like it's more style over substance, because this movie is really trying hard on its like visual style. It has some gorgeous reds, and a really strong score and music. Its themes on like consumerism feel a little bit incoherent, but I feel like there's enough to chew on that you like get what it's going at. Like there's just a very odd atmosphere to the whole movie, and like this very odd world, and that like it makes for some really fun scenes. And I feel like the issue is like, because like the dress like there's kills people, it has a split like first act and second act, and I feel like the first act was much stronger. It goes a little bit too long because it's close to 2 hours, and so I just feel like it could have cut off a bit of time, and I feel like I would have liked it more. But it's a fun time.
2 hours of utter bullshit.
Cameron, I heard if you would rather have a different clothing killing movie, you could just watch Slacks, the Killer
Oh.
Gene movie.
I probably like it better. That sounds great.
It's a subgenre of horror, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Clothing.
It was funny because Matthew and I watched this together
Mm-hmm.
when he was here, and
Yeah.
we were on completely different levels. Like I was like, oh, I can't wait till this is over. I hate this so
I
much.
was just like, oh, it's
He was
fun.
vibing with it. He's like, yeah, I like this. So horrible.
All right. Well, I go. I'll go B.
So if I go F, where does that leave us?
C.
Oh my god.
All right.
Put it in C.
I'll put it like low C, maybe, if you.
Wait,
just
what
like-
did Matthew give it? C?
I said? I'll go B.
Oh, okay.
But like low B, maybe, but
Yeah, low B, high D. One of the two.
Low B, high D. Yeah.
So roll the dice.
Or low
see
C,
which
sorry.
side to be
No,
on.
low B.
we'll put it in C, and then we'll see how the rest of the movies.
Luckily,
Yeah.
now I've
There's-
seen all the rest of these, so now we're.
I would
All right.
say, me too. We're set. All right.
Cameron, how are you looking?
I haven't seen Lamb or Men, so but the rest.
That's fine. That's
Yeah,
good. That's
honestly,
pretty good.
yeah, we'll talk about this when we get to them.
But yeah, let's move on to Saint Maud, and we can.
I
Yeah, so
watched
was-
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched
Yeah,
this last
Colin.
week, if that's okay.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is a very good movie. I don't think there's anything about it that I was like really blown away by, but I just think the performances, it's a slow burn, but it's a quick movie, so that's working the movie's favor. You're really not sure what's going on. Like a lot of it, and there's nothing paranormal going on for most of it, and then towards the end, maybe something is happening paranormal, but that sometimes that frustrates me. It doesn't here. I think it really works, and I think I should know the actress's name. Somebody help me out here.
Morford Clark or
Okay, she really sells it. Her descent into what could be madness, what could be God. It's a very religious movie,
Mhm.
or maybe a defiance of religion movie, depending on how you want to look at it. So when I would like, this is to me, I think as good as a movie that I would put in the B category could possibly be without me putting in the A category. Because like I said, I don't love it, but I think it's a very, very well made, well acted, like all around just good horror movie.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think the mystery is very intriguing. Like you don't really know what's happening, but I find that to be compelling. Especially, I feel like Morford Clark's performance, and I think she's just incredible in this movie. It really doesn't work without that like look into her loneliness. I think and yeah, there is also some very strong imagery. I feel like that final shot.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
The end.
haunting.
Yeah, the very
Very,
end.
very, very good ending. I will
Mhm.
say.
Mm-hmm. Jacob.
Yeah. Yeah, like this movie really worked for me. I remember just watching it just by myself, like on my phone one night.
Ooh.
Just
You're
Watch
on your
movies on your
no, no,
fucking
guys.
telephone.
Guys, hot take, I actually enjoy watching movies on
David
my
Lynch
phone just
is
like
knocking on your
this.
door right now.
But literally I think like what I was saying with The Witch, how religion sort of plays a role in the movie. I think it's so interesting in this movie, just it's sort of really just opposite of The Witch, how in this movie God or whatever figure that really Maud is just sort of having a connection with, it's sort of like a drug to her. Like it's sort of a different connection than
Mhm.
how a lot of people
Mhm.
see religion, but to her it's like it's like it's like a drug. Like she needs it, and like she gets doses of it, and it's like euphoric for her. And I
Mhm.
think it's interesting to see how that really how that is so contrasted with the lady that she's taking care of in the movie, which I think she does a really good performance
Mhm.
as well. I think
Uh-huh.
there's good performances throughout in this movie. So just seeing the contrast of like Maud with the lady she's taking care of, and how how their different beliefs are sort of fueling like their motives or just the way they think. And then just yeah, it's like how you guys were saying, you're not really sure what's going on throughout the movie, and then the ending happens, and it's I remember, I think for my review I wrote, this is like a classic like A24 horror movie ending. This is like, it's so just like it leaves you like it's like shocked, but like in like a good way. Like it's not like just for shock factor. Like
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
just really is just showing, just like how you're not really sure what's real or what's not in the movie.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you're like, maybe it makes you kind of like look back at the movie and think what parts were actually like real and what was actually just really just in her mind. So I
Mhm.
think it really
Yeah.
just a good um like kind of like character study just on how religion is really affecting her and her motives. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool when movies do something at like the very end that changes like your context on the rest of the movie, and this is one of those probably, because before you could have some different interpretations, but what it does at the very end, you go, "Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty cool." It changes how I think of the rest of the movie. Maybe. But there's still some ambiguity there to have, I think, if you want. Um, but it just adds enough confirmation to what's going on to not seem completely up to imagination. But yeah, like everybody said, good performances. It's very chilling and takes its time. And the main actress that we follow has such a like specific version of like the religion she follows or like her life code that's so specific to her and twisted. She has her own set of rules that she feels like she has to follow that doesn't really, I don't know, it's very specific to her, and like she feels like she has to torture herself in order to uh like ascend or whatever. And it makes it really interesting, and she completely sells it. um but yeah, I really do like this one. This definitely is one of, it's up there with one of my favorite A24 horror movies, and I feel like this one kind of slips under the cracks when you talk about some of the bigger ones, but I think this has a lot of interesting stuff it's saying here, and it's a really cool character study.
Yeah.
So
I think
I don't
like
know.
Colin was saying, yeah, it's a very I would definitely put it in like B, like behind
Mm,
like Under
Yeah.
the Skin, between like Under the Skin and It Comes at Night
I think it might be my favorite that's currently in the B.
in the B. Okay.
Yeah, but
I'm
cool.
okay
Yeah,
with
I'm cool.
that.
I'm cool anywhere in B. I'm cool anywhere in B.
I would
I-
put it A, so yeah, maybe higher and B.
I'm okay with putting same out above Under the Skin, but maybe not above Climax.
That's fine.
That's
That's
fair.
okay.
I'll deal with
Good
that.
with that.
Okay.
I would say Green Room is hurting me still, Cameron. You gotta
Cameron,
make
I
some
think-
sacrifices here.
I think since you like First Reformed so much, I think you were like getting, sort of like those vibes with like Saint Maud. I think you were that was
Yeah,
really
Yeah,
drawing
maybe.
you in.
Yeah, she's no Ethan Hawke, but she's pretty good.
All right, then let's go on to the next movie, which is Lamb. So I don't know who.
I haven't seen it.
That was a good lamb.
Good
Wow.
Lamb.
Thank you.
I guess I'll start with this one. Maybe we can go from like bad to good. I personally didn't enjoy this film that much. I thought I was gonna really enjoy it, just because the premise seemed kind of creepy and kooky, but the execution for me sort of like fell flat in a lot of places. The ending was pretty cool, but it kind of left me wanting more and like seeing more of um the creature that was kind of behind it all, but that was not really like the lamb. The lamb, it was cool. Like the effects that they used for it, it looked pretty interesting. It was still, it was like that. It was kind of just it's still creepy to see, like, and just seeing how the couple kind of takes her in and just really just makes her like their own. And it is sweet seeing the relationship with that. Then it kind of gets with like the other characters that enter into the movie and sort of like how they're reacting to the lamb baby child thing. And it's that was sort of like slowing down for me. So when it came to like elements with the actual characters themselves, I was not really a fan of. But when it was actually starting to like get with like the lamb character and then the creature that was with it, that was interesting to me. But overall, I was really hoping for more out of this movie, and I just feel like I didn't get as much as I wanted out of it. Yeah.
Colin?
Yeah, I actually also lean negative on this movie. I will say I assume they shot on location for a lot of Iceland. Gorgeous looking movie. I think I'm mostly bolstered by how good Iceland looks all the time. I mean, it's just boring. Yeah, I was brought in by the premise, lamb baby, and it's like oh, that's funny. I wonder what A24 will do with this, and like not much. Like obviously in real life you would have this conflict. Like they're like debating on over whether or not it's an animal or not, or it's a child, but the child brings the mom happiness, and it's like, yeah, I guess that's maybe what would happen. Um, And yeah, I think the fact that they keep the creature, it's a giant goat lamb thing.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
Ba-ba-bum.
Yeah,
It's
The
nobody's
weird goat guy.
yeah,
The
he
goat
the
homie.
goat guy.
yeah, I feel like they keep him hidden maybe just a bit too long. This
Yeah.
this movie needed to start moving its gears a bit sooner than it did. I'm all for a slow burn, but it's just I think it saves like most of it for like the last 15 minutes. And
Yeah.
I was kind of bored. I liked looking at the Iceland scenery. Naomi Rapace, she's good. Ingvar, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page
Yeah.
right now, but I don't want to say their names. Gunyans,
Icelandic.
Ginson, Bjorn. I see a Bjorn. I know how to say that. They're like
Bjorn.
everybody's like good in this film. There's it's just not for me. It's just not for me.
It's not your bag.
I think I lean more positive on this movie. Like, it is a really weird slow burn, but I enjoy the atmosphere. I feel like the mystery aspect of it didn't really land super well, though. I feel like it could have done a bit more in that element, but I still enjoy it. I think like Ada is a cute lamb kid. Like, I enjoy it, like the familial relationships, like seeing how that all like plays out, and like I like the exploration on motherhood and how like Numi Rapace, like her character deals with grief. I thought that worked out very well. So yeah, I think it's a fun time. It just they could have done more with the concept, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I also think, the lamb like has some cute moments, but it's so weird because like there's some moments I look at it and I'm like kind of just weirded out by it, but then other times I'm like, oh, that's sweet, and
Yeah.
then it's just weird. It's just I keep on going back and forth between I don't know if I actually like enjoy like if I actually find it like cute and adorable or if it's just creepy.
Wow.
It's weird.
Where do you put it, guys?
I would go
I say
C.
low C for me. Maybe high
Personally,
D.
personally,
I would go C.
I put it between like Green Room and The Monster.
I'm okay with putting this above the monster.
Yeah, as long as it goes above.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I'll put it below Green Room for Colin.
Yeah, C is nah, thank you. That would make me mad. Yeah, but whatever. C's fine for it. Maybe high D was where I'd personally put it, but I mean, it's a good looking movie. Sure,
It is. Yeah,
that's
the location is really good.
positive takeaway.
Okay, well then we will move on to X. I know I've talked
Symbol.
about.
Hey, yeah, start us off. I don't think
Yeah.
you haven't started us off in a bit.
Okay, I'll start this by saying no. I really enjoy X. I think this is like has a lot of makings of like an A24 horror movie while also being a slasher, and that's just like really fun. And so I really enjoyed the homages to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and that style of like slasher, and like the characters are interesting. They're all very unique and I think memorable as well. There's this very large looming sense of atmosphere, like tension throughout. Like once they get to the cabin or like the house that they go to film this porno, and there's immediately this sort of tension when they meet those old characters. And I also really like that it's set in the 1970s. Like I feel like that time period really adds a lot to the movie. And I feel like
Good atmosphere. Yeah.
Mia Goth, she's outstanding. She plays two roles. A spoiler, maybe, but she plays two roles, and I think she's just like does a fantastic job doing both of them. And then there's also a great supporting cast, like Jenna Ortega. Obviously, love her, and she's incredible as well. The Brittany Snow, Kid Cudi.
Yeah, he's great.
Yes.
There's they all do their roles like very well. There's some really great kills as well, like the gore and like makeup on how these people die. I think is very strong, and it's also very funny.
Yeah,
like it does that balance very well. So Pass it on to Jacob. Do you want?
Yeah. I agree with almost everything that Matthew said. The humor works really well for me, and all the characters like have like a good like shining moment. I love me some Kid Cudi, so I really enjoyed him in this movie. He's so like his character is just so like funny and just so like broy, but it's so good because he just is like fits like that character of the time,
Mhm.
and then just the world that it's in, like the time period is just really good for the film. Mia Goth, is really good, but I think, her performance in one of these later movies is even better. Um, uh, but I just think, she does a really good job here, just working between both the characters. Like, as I was watching the movie, I was like, I can't tell is that Mia Goth? Like, I'm trying to, like, tell. And there was, like, one scene where she was, like, looking at herself in the mirror, and she was, kind of just, like, admiring herself and, like, trying to decide, is she, beautiful or not? When compared to like the porn stars that were like on her farm. And I think at like that moment I was like trying to figure out if it was actually like her or not, and I was like, oh no, that's Mia Goth, that's cool. But yeah, just like everything works for this movie. Like the kills, there's some good ones, a lot of like good gore that I didn't think I was gonna find in this movie. Like I'm trying to think, I guess
Have they?
spoiler,
Can,
that
can
like one
you-
scene um where they're like in like the van, and then like Pearl just
Mhm.
starts like like
Yeah.
stabbing that like one of the younger people. That one was really good. And just like it's just like the
Don't Fear the
ending.
Reaper, right? I think that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
that was really good. And then the ending is like really good too. Like there's some thrilling parts that happen, which you wouldn't think you would expect with these like older like killers, but it creates like an interesting dynamic between them and the younger people, because you wouldn't think these like the old people, and there's like some touching moments with them, but then they're also like out like killing the young people. So it's like a weird, like you're kind of like feeling for them, but you're also like, oh no, they're like still murdering people. So I don't know. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed this movie, and just the atmosphere and just the character dynamics and the relationships that they had with each other, I think were really interesting. So yeah. Oh, and I think this was like one of the first like Jenna Ortega roles that I had seen, and I think she
Yeah.
does a really good job in the movie as well. I think everybody
Mhm.
really talks about Mia Goth, but I think she also does a really good job in
Mhm.
the
Yeah, yeah,
movie. So yeah.
definitely.
And also Brittany Snow. Brittany Snow's good in the movie too.
Yeah.
The touching moment with her like singing like around the group, I think that was like it wasn't really like necessary for the movie, but I think it's just like a cute little
Like
like
small character moments, I think. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
the small character moments really just make the movie
Mhm.
just that much better. So yeah.
Yeah. I think this movie, going off what you said, is very characterized very well. Like all the characters have their thing that you know them for, and it's done well. And kind of the whole movie is kind of a little bit of an exaggerated like 70s horny thriller anyway. So I think that's what makes it super fun and super different from a lot of other A24 horror movies where it's just a fun like sleazy horror movie that I don't know. It's really enjoyable and kind of tongue in cheek with it, but so it kind of makes you feel like more entertained, maybe in a different way than a lot of these other ones. But it also has some of those surreal elements too that A24 is known for that blend in, but it all blends in really organically. So yeah, I really enjoy that aspect about it. And yeah, I at first I like this more than Pearl, but we'll get into Pearl I think later, but
Mhm.
because my thoughts have changed. But X is definitely up there for one of my favorite Ty West movies.
Yeah, as soon as the cop goes, like, this is like one fucked up horror picture. Yeah, this is gonna be a good movie. And yeah, I actually really like this one a lot. I'd probably have it somewhere in my top five of these. Yeah, I just think it does, because sometimes I feel like these A24 movies get bogged down thematically. This one ties in the themes of aging pretty well, and it explores it more in Pearl, and I presume it's going to touch on it in Maxine as well. It to me, it's hard not to look at this as part of an unfinished trilogy, especially because I watched X and Pearl pretty close to each other, so I tie them in with each other, and they're made at the same time. I mean, so this is obviously in the film director's mind as well, Ty West's mind as well. So to me, they, despite being pretty different, they're kind of like a double feature for me. So I connect them a lot in my mind, but they're both great. I mean, I think I might like X a bit more than Pearl, but they just flow. They feel like they flow so seamlessly together that I just kind of want to make them part of the same package, despite the fact that they're very different. I think I said that twice, but the 70s slimy grindhouse aesthetic is very well done here. I vibe with it quite a bit.
Yeah, they both make each other better, like movies.
Yeah. They sort of lift each other up.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say about X is that I want to, the sex scene between the old people is like one of the most unnerving scenes, I think, in the
Yes.
Horrifying.
it also like kind of sweet, you know, like because I feel like the movie is dealing with that like old age.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean. Like it's touching on the themes of old age, but it's not like bogging it down. Like when you're just watching, it's like but also it's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
They love each other. So I say A.
I go A as
A.
well.
Yeah, I'd go A.
I'd go A. I'm fine with that. I think I personally like Under the Skin a little bit more, but I agree. I'm okay with A. Yeah.
Okay.
Under the Skin's in B.
I know. That's why I'm okay with you guys going A, but
Jacob's list would look very different.
no, it's honestly not too different.
I feel like it's lining up close to mine. I wouldn't have Green Room so low, but other than that, it's looking,
well, speaking of Green Room, Adelaide is in
see,
Green Room way too low.
Yes,
I probably like it, but sorry, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I also say way better than the Lighthouse.
Okay, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Whoa,
whoa! That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Can't say that about the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you lost me a little bit there, but that's okay.
Again, you know, it's no Tusk, but
It's no Tusk. It's no Tusk.
It's no Tusk. Now and everyone's favorite men.
All right. Well, I have talked about men on the during the bracket, so and
I hate men, so I won't. We'll talk.
I guess I'll go ahead and talk about it. Alex Garland wowed me with Ex Machina, and then he wowed me, you know, just a little bit less, but still like really good with Annihilation. And then I was like, Min, oh boy, this is gonna be a great time. And then I watched it, and I was like, oof, oof. He dropped the ball for me. Personally, this movie did not work for me. It was, I don't know, there was some interesting elements with like just the isolation and you know the little countryside with the main character Jessie Buckley. I think does a really good job in the movie. I always enjoy her performances. So I don't know. There's some interesting elements with you know the discussions it talks about and like the themes it deals with. But I don't know. I just think the execution of talking about those themes kind of doesn't work for me, and it kind of seems a little silly. Like the whole third act or whatever you can call that the final like sequence just fell apart for me. Like it was just like all falling apart, and I was like, guys, stop right now, please stop the movie. We don't need to go anymore. And then
all men are the same sequence.
Spoiler, you know, I start seeing that baby, and I'm like, yo, get that out of here, stop, just end the movie. But I think before that, like the scenes, you know, with Rory, I don't know how to Kinnear, I think, just seeing like his little how he took different like acting performances for each of the characters, I think was interesting, and that part I liked about the movie. But then just like I don't know, stories just sort of started falling apart for me, and it was kind of like moving a little slower than I'd like it to be, and just I wasn't really just interested in some parts, but then other parts really kind of worked for me and made me intrigued for most of the movie until just the ending sort of just started tanking for me. But yeah.
Mhm. Colin?
Yeah, I like the first third of this movie quite a bit. I think when the part where she's walking around, she's like hiking a bit, and the guy is kind of stalking her and starts like clicking, I guess, at her. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I thought the movie was going to go somewhere else with that. This is what I mean by the A24 movies kind of getting bogged down by the symbolism. I think I get what he's trying to say. It's too heavy-handed. And that last third, like you said, it's just so goofy, man. I was like, what are you doing? 'Cause like that took it from a mediocre movie. I was like, yeah, this is fine, to like this is gross and not in a good body horror way. This is just disgusting, and you've totally lost me because you're beating me over the head over and over again, and it's just ugh, it's just a mess. And I was so excited for this movie too, so it was just
Yeah.
disappointing.
Yeah, no, I think this movie is a mixed bag. I feel like there's a lot of good tension moments of tension, but like a lot of that just like passes really quickly too. So it's just like it's kind of mixed there. I think like Alex Garland kind of has like the red and green. I feel like it's really gorgeous, and I think that really works. I think there's some really great visuals. I feel like I found the body horror actually kind of fun, but it does feel like it goes on for too long. I feel like the themes obviously are very heavy-handed. It just lacks a lot of the subtlety that Garland has had in his previous work, and I feel like it tries too hard to in its themes that it forgets to add any substance to the movie for me. Like I feel like Jesse Buckley, who's giving an incredible performance, just kind of doesn't feel fully fleshed out as a character. And I feel like when you're so heavy-handed in its themes and you don't really give Jesse Buckley much to work with, it feels too forced, and then the metaphors are just so spoon-fed that it
Yeah.
feels so surface level. I think the script is really shallow as well. The Rory Kinnear also got to say how he's incredible. He just he plays all the men in the movie, as one would think when the movie is about how all men are the same. But I feel like there's one Rory Kinnear character that feels a little too uncanny valley when he plays the child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally every
that was
time he was
funky.
on screen, I was like, "Get him, please, get it out of
Yeah.
here!" Just like the way his head was like moving with his body. Oh, ugh, ugh, ugh.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
should
want to
have made
think
him
about that.
they could have made him like a teenager, and it would have had the same effect, I think.
Yeah, I don't know
So
why they chose the
Yeah.
just
yeah,
the
just like a
much
little
younger
kid, like
child.
like a 3'5" child or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like everyone knows what the movie is going for. It's just it
Yeah,
didn't work.
it's just not great.
Mhm.
This is another F.
Low C, high D. It's not
It's
terrible.
not
It's not
terrible. Like there's
terrible.
good
Yeah,
stuff in
I
here.
have
yeah,
it right now, personally. I have it between Green Room and Lamb.
I put this in D.
yeah. I
D.
wanna see this in high or low C at the highest. So
I'm fine with like, yeah, low C or
Let's see.
honestly, you know what? I'm good with D.
That's fine
Alright.
putting it below in fabric.
okay, D it is.
D it is. Do you want top of D or?
I'd rather watch Life After Beth, honestly.
I would too. Yeah,
Is Opera Plaza.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on. Wait, moving on to the next movie, Bodies, Bunnies, Bunnies. And Cameron, you've seen this.
Yeah.
Let's go to you. It's been a while.
All right. Bodies is super fun, and the ensemble cast really takes it to another level to make it enjoyable. I think what it's saying about like the current, what is it, Gen Z, like the current Gen Z
culture. Uh-huh.
culture. I don't know. It makes it super fresh. Well, it's also making fun of it, but it also feels so much like it as well. Uh, Makes it a very unique horror movie, especially with the dialogue is very Gen Z like. I think it's very smart dialogue. Even if you get past, okay, like older people that go to see this are like, oh, what's this dialogue? I hate it. But that's kind of the point of it too.
They're making fun of people.
Yeah, it's making fun of it. So that's what makes it, I think, really smart. And the fact that it's not a slasher, but like where people disappear and
A
the whole game of it.
kind of like
Among Us.
Yeah, it's Among Us basically. I think it's a really unique idea and pulled off really slickly, really smart. And the whole cast shines. Like Rachel Sennett obviously does incredible here, and she's probably my favorite. Pete Davidson, I have to admit, even though I don't like him that much, is so good in this. Like it's just he's making fun of himself so much, and like the persona that he has as Pete Davidson, he's making of so much. So that I really enjoyed about it too. Um, but and Lee Pace is another standout in this. He's so good in this. Kind of bouncing off
this, during the A24 bracket, but Lee Pace, hottest gay actor.
He's the hottest gay actor, yes. He's fabulous in this, but yeah, I'll let everyone else talk, but I really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, we're over 2 hours now, so I mean,
we only got 4 movies left.
I mean, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. But I also talked about this in the bracket at some point. So what I will say is very good movie, and if I'm gun to my head, I have to choose a movie on here that I know majority of people I show it to will like. I would choose this one, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I think it does a really good job of poking fun at Gen Z without being like completely insulting or like pandering to older generations. I think it strikes the balance really well.
No, I just want to bring up Spencer's one. It's the greatest movie of all time. I've also spoken about this movie to death. So Jacob, I'm gonna let you talk, and if there's anything I want to say, I'll go after.
Yeah. Honestly, Colin, now that you mentioned that, like, which one would I show somebody if I want to, like, I think would be like most like accessible, or like ones that I think they would just like enjoy. I think Bodies is definitely one of them. Maybe like Talk to Me Too, but we'll get to that too. But yeah, when I first watched this, I was initially I didn't enjoy it as much, but then like thinking back on it and like what you guys were talking about, like just how the dialogue is meant to poke fun at that, I sort of had to remember that, because as I was watching I was like, man, these characters, I just want to they're just so annoying. They're all just so stuck up and just so, it's so like, but it's actually it's like realistic to what's going on, even if it's like little elevated than what is actually in the real world. But like, no, like it's actually like pretty spot on with like like some people you might find out in life with our generation. But like, yeah, like the cast works really well. I think the reveal at the end of what was actually going on the entire time, I enjoyed it. It was a little jarring at first because I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing that, huh? But yeah, but I'm just like thinking back on the different conversations that the characters have throughout the movie, especially like one of the ending, like near the end, one of the conversations that like the group is having with like Rachel Sennett and like Amanda Stenberg, like they, like, it's just so, it's, you can tell it's like a toxic relationship, like all these friends, like, are they really friends
Your
who's to
parents are
say?
upper
They're
middle class.
yeah, like their dialogue that they have in that scene, and just the scene itself is so like just makes me irritated. But I think that's what it's supposed to like give you, that like emotions, like, oh, these characters are so flawed, and it's kind of intriguing seeing them in like this kind of like horror situation, and how they're using their experiences to sort of survive this experience, and like how they like turn on each other. It's good like paranoia film, and yeah, just the performances work, and I think the atmosphere works as well. I think the house setting is also really strong, and it makes for a good atmosphere. But yeah.
No, I want to just bring up, like, I love the cinematography of how, because
Mhm.
it's because of the power outage, like the way that they light the movie is with the glow sticks and like flashlights, and I feel like it adds this extra sense of claustrophobia, and it increases that tension throughout the scene, because like you
Yeah.
don't really know what's happening when you first watch it. I've seen it 3 times now, and I think it gets better every time I watch it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're seeing how they react to situations, but then you actually know
Yeah.
what actually happened, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're totally thinking something else, and it just makes for a definitely unique rewatch. Yeah.
It's one of the most like unique, like whodunit type stories, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely surprising ending.
And I feel like the ending really caps together like the themes that like the movie is going for about Gen Z culture.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Spence in the comments, Lee Pace is daddy as fuck.
Yep.
Then Disaster Piece, that score is
Oh yeah,
so
that's a good score
Yeah, it's
too.
good.
Yeah, I've ordered it on vinyl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a really. I can't believe I didn't mention that. Actually, I really like that score.
You also have to get
Mhm.
the It Follows
Yeah, exactly.
soundtrack on
They
True,
follow.
true. I won't settle for anything less than high B, but it sounds like we're all in agreement that this could be A.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Okay.
high B,
I would
yeah,
go.
low A.
I
Yeah.
could go to S, but I think we as a group we can go A here.
Low A.
Yeah, I'll
How
go
about
A.
that?
I'd say A.
Below X.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, we'll move on to Pearl now.
I'll start with this one.
Okay.
So I think this movie takes X and the characters that they established, and showing the prequel sort of origin story of Pearl. I think just the way it kind of just lets Mia Goth sort of just do like just this performance that she creates with the character. You kind of like hint on it in X, but then in Pearl it's just so it creates like just like the world that it's set in is so hyper realistic, and just very like like I kind of want to say whimsical, because it's so it kind of just feels like a Wizard of Oz like type movie.
Mhm.
How the just the different characters that she interacts with are sort of like hyper realistic as well, and I just think just the character work that she does is just phenomenal, and I think the kills are pretty good as well, and just seeing the situation she's put in and how she reacts and kind of uses her limited sort of, I don't know, social abilities, because she's not really used to, like being around that many like people, and like seeing how she interacts with people like outside of her like family is really unique. But then also seeing her relationship with her like family, like her mom, creates really tense scenes, like especially like I think at like the dinner table scene is really good, and it just creates some good tense moments that also are really memorable too. A lot of TikTok stuff. But in like a good way. But like it's good. It's good. I enjoy this movie a bunch, and I think it's like the comedic elements work for me, and it just creates a really good experience, and a fun one at that.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll go. I so when I first saw Pearl, I liked it, but I wasn't completely sold on it for some reason, and I think a part of that was probably I was on a date and it was an awkward date. I felt weird.
That's a bad date movie, man.
Yeah. I've never gone on another date with that person again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it wasn't necessarily just because of the movie. But that, I think, put some made me negative on the movie. But the more I think about it, the more I like it. Mia Goth is giving an incredible performance here, and she has some incredible monologues in the movie too. And what she's just able to do, like just her on screen, just the stamina she has to like act and be so dramatic and have such intense monologues is just so impressive. Because she's the complete star of the movie, and she's the star. Like the feature is her. Like it's all about her, and she does an incredible job, and she's so mesmerizing, just like she is in X. But since she's the complete center, it's what completely makes the movie. And it is also cool how it is shot differently, and the whole vibe of the movie feels different from X. Very different. It feels very 30s, just like how X felt very 70s with just the style of filmmaking, which I think is really cool. It's a cool thing Ty West is doing. We'll see how Maxine feels like with different techniques he uses. But yeah, this movie definitely has grown on me.
To me, this movie is just like a flashback that takes place within X. Like I really want them like right next to each other. They're very, very close. I think they're both excellent. I will say this is probably the better Mia Goth performance, just because she's given more room instead of being an ensemble cast. I guess I want to talk about the production since you guys hit the nail on the head for why it's a good movie. Production of this is very interesting to me. The fact that they just decided to go ahead and make a prequel movie during the filming of X, and that A24 let him do that, and it's got like a pandemic angle in it, and it's like, oh, that's like maybe that's uncomfortable for some people. To me personally, it's kind of cool just how that worked out for them during the pandemic. And maybe it kind of hits a little too close to home, but in like a good kind of scary way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works. So, good movie. I want them right next to each other. We'll see.
Yeah, I think this is just like it has a very different vibe to X, but still like very they just complement each other so well, as we were saying. You guys already said Mia Goth is, I think she commands the screen, and especially during that monologue, like you don't even realize until like it's over. It's just like that. Is an incredible scene, and I really like that. It's maybe less of a horror movie. I still think it's a horror movie. It's just like it's really more focused on seeing who Pearl is, and seeing that character study, and like just figuring out her mind. And I feel like that was really interesting to see, and how like she became from this Pearl to the Pearl in X.
Yeah, definitely that monologue. Thinking back on it now, yeah, I remember at the time like hearing it, and then once it was over, I was like, oh, whoa, I think that was like all like one. I don't know if it was one take, but I think.
Most of it just like stuck. Like there are a few cuts at the beginning of the monologue, and then it just stays on her face.
Yeah, and then it's over, and you kind of just realize like what just happened, and because like the whole entire time you're just like. You're paying so
focused.
You're so focused on what she's saying. It's just such a great performance. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean Side by Side by X, I think I would go above X.
I personally have it above X. Yeah.
But
I'm fine with that.
Below X. Yeah, you guys can do that. They're next to each other. That's what I wanted, I guess.
Okay, so we'll move on to Beau is Afraid. I guess I forgot this. Spence was talking about bodies when I was
Artist of S tier.
Well, don't worry, that's Tusk.
Albert coming in with a nice list.
Thanks, Albert. Where did you go for 2 hours?
Laundry, I guess.
Oh, I got laundry too.
Took a quick nap.
I can take this first if that's okay.
Yeah, no, go for it. It's
all right. So I talked a little bit about how he got a little self-indulgent in Midsommar. This is the self-indulgence of the movie. Like even when they were making it, they're like, I can't believe anybody is financing this movie. In the box office, I mean that problems there. Um, Ari Aster's trauma dump trilogy, 2/3 of it are great. I like this movie, but it's like the biggest hot mess on here out of all of these, I would say. Like there is so much good and so much bad. It's just mind blowing. There is no reason for this movie to be that long. And the third act where it gets all meta and we're literally watching people in an auditorium like watching Bo. It's just like that. What is the point of this? I get that we're watching your life story, Ari Aster. Like you don't need to tell me that's what's happening here. And it's just like that 45. Like I ended up saying I like the movie, and I would still say I do like the movie, but that 45 minutes at the end like tanks it so hard. Like I personally would cut right after he has sex for the first time and maybe like keep it ambiguous if he dies or not. I think that'd be funnier at least. And then God, I like the world that it creates in the first act. Like it's just fucking insane. I think that's a cool world, and I think Joaquin is doing a great job. I don't think it's like a mind blowing performance from him or anything, but it's a good performance from him. And I really, really do like that world that is created in the first act. But then we have the second act, and it gets a little lost, and then we go on this animated journey, and that's like cool, like for parts, but then it goes on too long. Good ideas, 3 hour mess at the end of the day.
So I guess I can go next because
Sure.
I just watched this movie today.
Oh,
Oh,
my
you just
gosh,
watched
let's
it.
hear
Okay.
your thoughts.
Okay, I
So
was sorry. I
I'm
would let
still,
let you go first.
I'm still kind of like, I don't even know what to say right now because like having just watched this movie, I haven't had enough time to really process everything. And I'll start off by saying I really enjoyed this actually. I feel like I really enjoy seeing like Ari Aster kind of just have that creative freedom and do his own thing. And it kind of feels like After Hours in a way where it's just like some like events happen that like you don't really think are gonna happen.
But After Hours is 86 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like
No, I see where you're coming from though. It's like that is a good comparison.
that's the only thing that I would compare it to. Like
But I get what you're saying.
yeah, and I feel like there's just it's such an abstract journey of like going inside of like Ari Aster's mind, and like not everything plays super well, but just feel like there's so much that is unique there that I still really am drawn to the screen. Um, and like Joaquin Phoenix, he's incredible. I think all the actors, all the performances are really strong. Like I think I don't want to no. There's some scenes that will really stick with you, like the attic.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one part I was like, no, that wasn't needed, but okay.
And I can see why that will turn you off because I feel like I really do enjoy that kind of experimental that experimental horror where like you won't really forget it. So yeah, for now, I having just watched the movie, it's still kind of processing, but I will just say that I did really like it.
Yeah, Cameron, do you want to go next? Or I know you have it really high ranked, so maybe do you want to go last and
Yeah,
sort
that's
of
fine.
cover anything?
Sure.
Okay. So this movie, I still don't have it rated. I walked out of the theater and I was like, I have no idea how to rank this, because it was like a, I don't know, it felt like a high, like watching it. Like it's like like on Letterboxd it calls it like an odyssey, and it really just feels like just like a long journey, and by the end of it you're like exhausted and you're like, I have no like I was like, I have no idea how to feel about this movie. And then I still really just don't, I don't have like any like clear thoughts on it. Like thinking back on it, like how you guys were talking about, so much stuff works for me. That like Colin was saying, the first act of the movie, the world building is so great. I'm saying this again, but it just creates such a hyper realistic world where it's like it's like such an anxious like feeling like every step along the way as like Bo is like moving through like even trying to get to his apartment. It's so like I was like sweating. I was like I need this to stop. And then little did I know I had 2.5 hours left. Um, it's the performances, yeah, are really good, especially Nathan Lane, I thought was a really good
Mhm.
standout.
That was
Uh,
good.
he was like a good like childhood like favorite of mine. Especially from Mouse Hunt. But I think he really just he takes his work from Mouse Hunt and really just amps it up for this movie, and I think it's really good. Like I'm thinking like the scene with the the daughter of Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan and like the grimace shake, the sort of
Oh
scenario
yeah,
I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
That scene literally, I was in theater. I was like, oh my god, this is insane. I can't handle this. It was just like everything's just happening to Bo. Bo's getting thrown so many objects, and I'm like just trying to like dodge and weave, trying not to get hit. It felt like everything was just like it was so taxing on me. But I think that's also what made it like good and like made me. I don't know if I ever want to rewatch this movie, but like maybe it's like a once a decade type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what Colin is saying, where Ari Aster really just he did what he wanted. This was the movie. Of course, I thought this thought before with like Hereditary and Midsummer. This is the movie where I was like, Ari Aster has some issues going on. He has some mommy issues, and then if you watch his short film, what's it called? The strange thing about the Johnsons or
Johnson's.
whatever.
Yeah.
He has daddy issues in that, and his mommy issues really come out to play in this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, Ari Aster, you've gone through some things. You got relationship problems, you got like death, and you got mommy and daddy problems. Ari Aster, what are you doing? But I love how he's taking these movies and he's just explaining just sort of what's going on with him. And this movie just creates such a weird, kooky, crazy world that just left me just exhausted, but in a good way. I'll leave it at that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was kind of blown away after I watched this, and also at a loss for words or even knowing what to say, like or about the movie or what to think at all. Like my jaw was just kind of on the floor after this one. First of all, it is impressive how he was able to get this through and have it made at all. Like with I don't know how big the budget was, but it was at least big enough where it showed
35
on
mil.
screen. Huh?
35 million.
35 million, yeah.
Oh.
So,
It lost $20 million.
yeah.
Only
But-
Ari Aster can do it.
Still kind of a financial risk. So it's kind of amazing that it was made and it had such big ambitions. This is definitely, I think, his biggest creative swing because it's just so out there and like unbelievable. But I love it for that. And despite its flaws, it's just one of the most creative movies I've ever seen. Like I've never seen anything else like it. In my mind, I kind of compare it to Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I love them both so much. And they are very different, like with what they're trying to accomplish, but they both throw so many creative, weird ideas out there. And this one is a lot more, this one has a negative, like thing that it's getting across, and like negative, cynical ideas and like traumatizing ideas that it's getting across, and it makes you traumatized or anxious, all kinds of emotions throughout this big, epic, crazy adventure, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do love it, but I understand how it's not an approachable movie in the slightest. Like, no, not at all.
Yeah. Cameron, is this your favorite Ari Aster film?
I still like Hereditary more,
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
just a little bit.
And I think Colin's point about the third act, it for the most part didn't work for me, but I think the first two just well, the second act goes on for a little bit too long with the story that's going on. Like
Yeah.
it got like 20 minutes into the story and I'm like, "Oh, we're still going with this, huh?" And but yeah, I just think that first act and like most of the second act just works so well and just create for like just such a weird, unique watch. And yeah.
My biggest frustration with it is that I agree that I like that it takes these creative swings. I think a much tighter edited version of the movie exists.
Yeah.
Like I think we can lose about 20 to maybe even half an hour. Still gets
Yeah.
the point across.
Yeah.
Audiences are a lot happier.
Yeah, it kind of punishes you, like
Yeah,
watching it, which is interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
Like I think this is just the director's cut. Like I literally just think they were
Yeah,
like, we're just
it
gonna
is.
release the
Yeah.
director's cut.
They were like, Ari, no notes, just release it. And so he did.
Yeah.
Or
Like,
like they had
yeah.
love in this.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
Hereditary, it made a ton of money. So, and then I Midsummer, I'm pretty sure made a lot of money as well.
Yeah, Midsummer made money. So
This was the one for him.
It is unfortunate that they'll probably be a little more creatively controlling with him on his next movie, whatever that looks like. That is unfortunate. I will say. I wish this movie had done better because it is interesting, despite my maybe rants against it.
yeah.
I still like it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know where to put this. Honestly.
I literally like this movie is so hard to rank or like rate. I think right now I have it below. I enjoyed this movie, so I have it like at like A or
I want to put it in A.
or like high B at least.
I have it
high
in S,
B.
but
High
I understand
B.
why no
Okay.
one else.
Well,
would.
no, if you have it in S and Jacob and I have it at high B, we can put it in A.
Yeah, like probably below buddies.
Yeah, I still
I would
if
put
it
it
goes
below
above.
bodies.
Okay, good.
Wow, so-
Okay, good. I'll be happy with that.
But it's
Sure.
also a reminder, just about like the director's cut. Watch the director's cut of Midsummer. It adds some good, background and context to some of the stuff in the movie that I think works.
I do want to see that.
It adds like an extra like 30 something minutes though, so
Yeah,
it's already a long movie.
Yeah,
So
We'll,
but yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
Mhm. Yeah. I feel like we should have ended on Bo's Afraid because I feel like that was the stronger discussion. But Talk to Me still
Hey, Talk
still
to Me is
good
pretty
one.
good.
Still a
Let's
good
get
movie
to
to
it.
end on. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
who hasn't started in a while?
I could
Cameron,
start.
yeah.
Yes.
Cameron, let's go you first.
Yeah. We go from Beau's Afraid, where it's like completely creative, and then we go to Talk to Me, which I think is one of the most conventional A24 horror movies. Not bad. Like I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed it all the way through, but I don't think it's doing anything fresh or new or like saying anything necessarily. I think it's just a standard horror picture. So, but it did have good suspense, and it did have some cool visual, like horror parts to it. But yeah, I think it's fine.
I really like this movie. I think what I was saying is these movies sometimes have a hard time balancing themes. Well, these teenagers are literally getting high on being possessed. And I think that's a fun angle to take it with. The party scene where that French song is playing. That's a fantastic scene. I love that scene. That's probably one of my favorite scenes of this year from the movies. And the fact that this was directed by two YouTubers is like kind of inspiring, honestly. Like it gives me hope that maybe one day I could pick up a camera and make something cool. I probably have to be a good writer first and have a good script. I don't know. It feels like a pretty tight script, all in all. Yeah, I'm not pretending it's doing anything mind blowing, but I think the hand is a fun prop. I think it's a good set piece. I think, like I said, the drug angle where these teens are kind of getting high on being possessed, and then the stuff with her mom. Yeah, it's not the greatest, not the strongest, but it works. And she, Sophia
Wild.
Okay, Sophia Wilde. I think she does pretty well in this movie. I looked like the cast was mostly unknowns.
Yeah.
They didn't none of them had a really that big of a filmography besides the one girl from Lord of the Rings.
Miranda
Oh,
Otto. Miranda
yeah,
Otto.
yeah. Thank you for being on top of
I got
actors
you.
and actresses. Yeah, so I think the fact that it all came together into a pretty good film, I think is pretty cool at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, like I gotta preface, like I like the movie. It has been overhyped. I feel like so
Yeah,
many people have been praising
yeah.
it. It's just like, it is kind of standard, but I like the atmosphere. I think it was very engaging allegory on addiction as well as like showcasing grief because like Sophia Wilde, she does a great job of doing that. And I really like a lot of the camera work is really strong and I love the use of practical effects as well. And I like that, like, it's a horror movie, doesn't rely on jump scares. It's just like has that creepy factor inherent to, the hand and what you see from it. So I watched this in theaters with Cameron though. And one of my favorite parts was just like during the big gore scene. Just he looking at Cameron and seeing his reaction is like the noise, like his scream to like.
I'm a very expressive movie watcher,
Uh-huh.
especially with gore or everything. So yeah.
Yeah, that one scene that
That
was
one scene, you don't know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
yeah, I think so.
But yeah, no, that was a good moment. I think I like the movie, but it's overhyped.
Yeah, I think we're ending on a good high note here. I think I definitely fell to the overhypeness. I remember things were coming out before the movie. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the scariest movie of all time. It's so scary, spooky." I don't think it's, that terrifying, but I think what just works really well is the atmosphere it lays out just around just these like this teenager scene with the hand. Just the party scenes are so great that they show just how the hand is really affecting the users and how it literally is just like a drug to them.
Mhm.
And that they get like addicted to it. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we want to go back. We want to touch the hand even more." I think that first time we see somebody use it and we see how it kind of they react to it and we're like not really sure how it's like working, right? But then once we see Mia use it, I think she was the one to use it. But like yeah, so she
Mhm.
uses it and then we see what actually happens when they actually like do the hand and they let the entity in, and it was so like in theaters I got chills, especially when that first like just I don't know, they set it up so perfectly, just how they react to what they're seeing, and then when we see it, I think it just like amplifies that experience for
Mhm.
me. But yeah, it's just such a unique prop too that they use, and it's just really interesting. I think the story with her mom is pretty touching. It's nothing too crazy, but I think just seeing how she's affected by it and also how she clings so much to her friend and even like her friend's like younger brother,
Mhm.
I think is interesting to see how she's so connected to them and she wants to just hold on to something because she's just I'm afraid of being alone, and I think that's also why she gets so drawn into like the hand and how she's sort of connecting with these entities. And then of course just the crazy scene with the younger brother. I think the younger brother does a really good job acting throughout the movie. I think he was a good surprising like standout for me.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
just like yeah, like the body horror with that was really awesome to see. And then like that scene near the end of the movie with when she's trying to like find the younger brother in like kind of like the I don't know what other is it hell? I don't know, whatever the spiritual world is.
Yeah.
It's so creepy and it's like so ugh, leaves me like my skin crawling. It's just so like just like the mass of like people and just like the weird like entity that she's like seeing. It's so creepy to me. The ending I think was the weakest point of the movie for me.
Really,
Um, I did still enjoy it, but I think I don't know. I think they could have gone a different direction. Um, they were definitely setting up for like maybe some sort of sequel, which I would
I
enjoy.
believe they've confirmed.
They've confirmed
Okay,
sequel,
they
yeah.
confirmed it.
This-
Yeah,
this movie
I'm
made decent
excited
money.
for that. Yeah,
And it's like
yeah.
it's a movie that you can very easily make a sequel
Yeah.
to. Like the hand goes to someone else. And,
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's kind of like the
yeah.
upcoming It Follows sequel.
Yeah.
Like that one, it creates such a unique story that you can see other, like you can have like other stories go along with it,
Yeah.
not necessarily fully connected, but kind of sort of just in the same world. And I think it just
Mhm.
really just creates that world really well. And just seeing the directors that made it and sort of like where they came from, it's just amazing to see what they were able to put out. And I'm really excited to see what they come up with next.
Mhm.
See, I really like the ending, or at least the very, very ending.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm talking like the last 30 seconds. I think
Yeah,
it's, I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
great.
I
I
was
like
talking
that's
more
great.
about the
Okay.
highway
Highway
scene.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
That one, that part, but like the Indian ending, I did enjoy. I
Okay.
enjoyed that.
Mhm.
That one gave me like little chills in the theater. It was a good experience.
Yeah. No, I like. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But this is really this one is actually pretty high up on my list.
Yeah. See, it sounds like you guys aren't going to agree to A, but I have it. I would probably put it low A personally.
I give it a high B.
Cameron.
I'd say
Like I would at
Yeah.
least put it above Saint Maud, below Climax. That's around where I would place this.
Right now, I have it above Killing of a Sacred Deer. I like this movie a lot. But I'm okay with like low A. You guys are good
Cameron?
with
If I was rating on my own, I'd put it B, but I can go with low A.
Yeah. Let's put it below Bo.
All right. So how does this look?
It looks good, and it's also midnight, so I need to go to bed.
Oh, and it's time to change one
Yeah.
last.
Whoa.
Whoa. F you, Tusk. F you, Tusk. You're the worst. You suck. You suck. You suck. Kevin Smith, I will find you and give you a hug, you know? You might need it after filming that movie.
And then a punch in the face.
I like this. I mean, the only one I heavily disagree with is Green Room, but whatever. We all got to make some concessions.
Mhm. And I feel like this is pretty balanced.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
it's a very balanced list.
Mhm.
Came to a
So,
reasonable conclusion on these.
A24 horror, mostly good movies. I
Really,
have to say.
so many good bangers, and then also some ones where I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
And then we have
like I'd
Tusk.
stop at Green Room, and I wouldn't
And
watch
then we have
anything
Tusk,
past
which is its own thing. But you know what? I won't give A24. You know, they were just that was one of their earlier movies. You know, they throwing Kevin Smith a bone, and Kevin Smith just decided to throw that bone back at him.
Yeah. But I know we all enjoy Justin Lon's Scream Queen. You know.
That's
I-
true. That is true. Everybody go see
Yeah.
Barbarian.
Yeah.
Don't watch Tusk.
Everyone loves Justin Long.
So yeah, I guess it's getting late. So that's it for this tier list. But yeah, thank you.
Oh wait. Oh, happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Oh,
Happy
it is.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween. That's
In Eastern
okay.
time.
It was definitely worth it for staying to
Yeah,
stay
we had
up.
that. We had to end it during
Yeah.
Halloween. You know.
Yeah, of
exactly.
course, of course.
Yeah. So
Spooky.
thank you guys for being here. This
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
hosting.
hosting.
Yeah.
able to yeah, for sure. And thank you to everyone in the live chat. So Stephen, Adelaide, Albert.
I guess Albert.
Yeah, Albert
And-
kind of cheated, but whatever.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, and whoever might be listening to this later. But yeah, that's all from us, and we will see you guys next time. I haven't announced any new real ranks yet, but yeah, next time.